going now.
Okay.
So are you on Twitch as well?
Not really, no. I just tried it because I couldn't do it on YouTube, but I fixed that issue. So I've done a couple streams on YouTube right now, or so far, but they've just been basically me talking.
All right, is it up?
I will check.
It worked.
Okay, let me see. Okay. All right, I can see it now.
All right, everyone, we got it fixed this time. Again, we're both new to this, so be a little easy on us. Anyway, welcome everyone to the stream. Obviously, everyone remembers from last night if you were here. Anyone who wasn't, we have Ava's Binder on the channel today. Ava, if you want to introduce yourself and give a little background on, what you do here on YouTube and, what got you into Pokemon, things like that.
Yeah. So obviously my name is Ava. It's spelled very weirdly, I'm aware, I know. On YouTube, I make videos over analyzing shiny paper. I'm really into the analytics. I like making spreadsheets. You can also go back and watch some terrible Yu-Gi-Oh videos if you want. Most of them aren't very good, I'll be honest. But I'm just really into the data of it and trying to make sure everything is like really factual, or at least based in facts. Obviously, everything you say is speculation. But I think as long as you have some solid reasoning, that's probably the most important. So I like to make videos talking about that. And just kind of talking about like long-term perspectives, because this is a hobby for me, not a business. So I'm not flipping cards or anything like that usually. So that's basically what I do. I've been into Pokemon, since I was a kid, and I've been into it like fairly consistently throughout my whole life. Obviously, I didn't spend that much on it when I was younger because I was a child with no income. But I'm really here for it now. I'm in deep.
Oh, geez. How deep have you got in? Are you okay? You're not in any crazy credit card debt?
Yeah, no, for sure. No. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. There's no issue. I'm just committed.
No, that's awesome. And anyone who hasn't checked out Ava's channel, I will. I don't have it in there right now, but after the video, I will have a link to her channel. It's just Ava's Binder. I'll leave a link to her Instagram as well. Basically, if anyone hasn't found her channel, she does really deep dives into analytics, a lot deeper than anything you're going to see on my channel, most channels out there. Yeah, it's really good stuff. I don't know where she found all these crazy spreadsheet skills that she has, but it's pretty awesome. I mean, when you start doing all that stuff, did you just start doing it for yourself and then kind of brought it onto YouTube? Did you always have all these spreadsheets kind of showing you where to move your money into Pokemon, or how'd this start?
So I have had like a personal spreadsheet for a while. I haven't updated it in ages because I'm not really good at personal organizing those types of things, just when it comes to myself. But I learned how to make spreadsheets just from my job. So I spend about like 20 hours a week making spreadsheets. So that's just kind of where that came from. But it's definitely more fun and productive, I would say, to make some spreadsheets about Pokemon. And I made one really just for myself to post or to write for Sun and Moon. And then I made a video about it. I didn't think anyone would want to watch it, but apparently people did want to watch it. So I just kind of kept making those videos, and then you can see my slow descent into madness throughout the last like 15 videos.
That's a perfect way to put it. The slow descent into madness. Yes. So, I mean, I found your channel, I think like a few weeks ago. And yeah, I mean, I've been loving the content you have on there, but I noticed, the earlier videos, you kind of started out doing a lot of pack openings. Is there a reason you kind of moved away from those? Were you not liking it as much, or just wasn't you?
I think there was some foreshadowing about this on my or on your stream yesterday, where I was talking about how awkward that is. I had an Instagram that I used to post on pretty regularly. Now it's like a ghost town over there, but I will still respond if people message me, albeit fairly slowly. So I was pretty active on there and had like a decent following, nothing like big or anything at all. But I wanted to make YouTube videos because I feel like everyone, my age or older, being a YouTuber was like such a cool thing growing up. It seemed so cool. So I decided to make some videos for it. And yeah, I tried doing pack openings because I wasn't really that familiar with that much else, you know, in terms of Pokemon videos, because I feel like really the analytical stuff has started a lot more recently. So I was making videos like that, and I would throw in like my opinions on things here and there. But then that just wasn't doing it for me. So I moved over to doing more Yu-Gi-Oh videos that were a bit more analytical because it's like deck building and whatnot. And I'm just like not good at that. I mean, the videos are okay, but that's not my calling. I don't think I'm very good at explaining those things very well. So then I just started doing these spreadsheet videos and analytical videos, and I guess I found my very niche.
Right. I mean, it seems like it's been working out really well. I think a lot of people, are really thankful for it. I mean, I know just trying to look over the spreadsheets that you create, it's just so in depth that, I like how you make them downloadable sometimes. It literally takes, a second and third look to really kind of go through everything that you're showing, because it is really in depth for everyone who hasn't seen these. I mean, it really, if you're looking to move into certain products or certain sets, it really breaks down, the pool rates and, the cost versus value and everything. And I don't know, I've been really enjoying them. I know a lot of people out there are. I know we talked a little bit before stream that you're one of kind of the more oddballs in the industry, because you got in not in WotC, you got in after that time. So talk a little bit about that, about when you first got introduced to Pokemon and the era you came in at.
Yeah, well, I'm a fetus, so I was barely around when base set came out, and so I didn't really grow up with the attachment to that. Obviously I had some of those cards and whatnot because they just get traded around, but I kind of started in the like level X era, and then like legends and prime cards. Right around then is when I started to get into it, maybe the end of the first EX era. So I do have a lot of nostalgia for those cards. Definitely not this like obsession that a lot of people have with like the original WotC cards, but I do like them. I really like legend cards. And I was saying earlier that I think a lot of people have almost an irrational attachment to WotC, and maybe that's how I feel about legend cards, but I think that they're actually just underrated. Hot take. Not very hot take, but
Yeah.
So then sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I've been into it, pretty consistently throughout. Obviously there would be like maybe a year or two where I wouldn't look at my cards very much or wouldn't collect very much, but I was pretty consistent throughout. Wasn't necessarily consistently always buying cards. I did really prefer to trade. I always thought that aspect of it was really fun. So that is one thing I'm actually pretty sad about, because I feel like right now trading's kind of been ruined, not just by COVID, but I feel like everyone's obsession with getting some kind of monetary gain. Like you want to get the upper hand on someone. So it'll be people like obsessively like checking TCG player prices, and then they're always trying to get the better in the deal. And I think that's great in theory that people have TCG player to make sure trades are fair, but I don't think that's how it ends up being used in practice. This is a really random tangent, by the way, but I just think the people who are using that are the people who already have more knowledge. And then it's like the people who don't know all that stuff already are always getting like the worst end of the deal.
I mean, I think that's a great topic to go into, because it's such a perfect example. Because when you're a kid, you were literally just trading for things you didn't have or things you had doubles of. I mean, I know you don't remember, but like for this base set, I mean, I remember having, multiple, let's say Mewtwo's, and I didn't have a Chansey. So I'd trade a Mewtwo for a Chansey, or, you would trade a higher value card for a lower value card. And it didn't really compute in your brain back then, because you were just trying to have fun and complete sets and things like that. And, I know what you're saying is it just kind of takes away the whole, I guess like innocent joy from the hobby when everything's broken down to every last dollar and cent. And it's not as much about like, the art anymore. Because hey, sometimes you might like a common or uncommon art or a trainer or, things that don't have the value of other things. And it just really always has to come down to the dollars and cents nowadays. And I think it's partly social media's fault. It's partly maybe it's partly mine and yours fault,
Yeah.
having channels like we have. I don't know, but it's I know what you're saying. It was nice that, back in the day when you could trade in person and all that, and it wasn't all just done online. So no, that's a great point to bring up.
Yeah, for sure. I think, well, fortunately, I try not to talk too much about trading on my channel, And obviously, like as a kid, it feels really good to get the better end of the deal in your mind. Because in my mind, a legendary was like always better than a non-legendary, pretty much regardless of what it was, unless it was like a really shiny, fancy card for a non-legendary. So that's how I always felt like, oh, I'm really getting the better end of the deal here, but I highly doubt that. Or if I were trading for like, my favorite Pokemon is Entei, which some people may be aware of. You know, I remember trading for the full art Entei from Dark Explorers, like 6 ultra rares to some adult. And I was like not an adult at the time. I was probably like early teens. I probably got the worst end of the deal there, but still one of my favorite cards. So I think it was worth it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was for you back then, and it still could be. I mean, I know a lot of our channels are geared towards, you know, the kind of the finances behind it, but there is always the collectors out there who really don't care about those things. And I think this is becoming a collector's market at this point. You can tell me how you feel about that, but I think things have finally dropped to that price where people aren't as weary about buying anymore. They've come down from those extreme highs, those extreme, you know, everything to the moon, you know, GameStop, AMC type, you know, Bitcoin type thing. And now we're starting to see these normalized prices, and you know, collectors are starting to jump in again. And that's why we're kind of seeing things stabilize and move up. So I do think it's a collector's market. And, you know, I don't really know how I feel about, you know, modern vintage, like where the prices are at, if it's a good time to buy. I mean, from a financial standpoint, but I do feel like, you know, it's a lot better entry point than before. So if you were looking, you know, some of those cards when they were hundreds or even thousands of dollars higher, could be a good time to move in. What do you think about it?
Oh, for sure. I definitely agree with that. I hardly bought any singles after like March of 2020 because I feel like that's when it really started to get crazy. And that's also just when I went home from college because of COVID. So that's like for me where the pandemic really started. I don't know if it's like that for everyone else, but that's the date for me. And that's just when Pokemon started to explode. And then I hardly bought any singles from 2020 to pretty much the end of 2021. But you can see in some of my latest videos, I've been buying a lot more singles. During the last 2 years, I've basically just been buying sealed product, usually below MSRP, or sometimes certain things for like my sealed collection, just like one-offs of like ETBs and that type of thing. But yeah, I've been buying a lot more cards that I've been wanting for my personal collection that I've been holding off on. Like a Rockets Entei EX is one that I've been wanting. Or if I can find a good deal, obviously I would still buy them. But I do think it's more of a collector's market. And I definitely am happier about it because these prices just make more sense. They're still really high, obviously, especially depending on what you're talking about. But some of the prices that were like base set unlimited hollows we're going for was pretty crazy to me. I think that sealed probably hasn't cooled off as much as the singles market, but I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I get attacked for that enough from all around about how I feel about sealed product. I mean, look, I've kind of experienced both sides of it, and that's kind of where I've got my opinion from. I got back in around 2015, and you know, I was buying basically 90% vintage. You know, I was buying vintage sealed, whether it was boxes, packs, theme decks, you know, blisters, and I was also you know, cracking boxes, cracking packs. I was grading the cards. I was putting away a lot of slabs, whether it be PSA 9, PSA 10 slabs. You know, I was churning and burning a lot to make profit to continue to fund the business, you know, the investment, the collection. And then I sold a lot of it into the spike. And I had friends that didn't sell a lot of their collection and they lost a lot of their gains. And so I've kind of seen everything from the beginning all the way through the hype, after the hype, and then to now. And that's kind of where I got a lot of my opinions on sealed product, especially modern sealed, is a lot of the modern sealed didn't see the intense downturns that vintage saw from the tops. And now I understand that if you were in vintage and all those slabs and everything before the boom, you did very well. You did a lot better than you would have done in modern sealed. But at the same time, if you would have got in during the spike and during the boom and after Logan Paul's box break, you would have lost a lot of money. And I just like to make that known because, you know, if you would have been investing in, you know, modern, let's say booster boxes, for example, you know, XY, Sun and Moon all the way throughout until early Sword and Shield when the crash started to happen, you know, you wouldn't have been in as bad a shape if you were buying those, you know, Jungle Pikachu PSA 10s or the base set or the Jungle cards, things like that. So that's where I stand on the whole subject. I know you have a great mix behind you of products. So I'm guessing you're right in the middle. I bet you're, you know, sealed, you know, slabs, just kind of, when the market is a good buy for each of them? I mean, where do you stand? Are you basically middle ground?
Yeah, well, I would say that if I'm talking about investing, it's almost always in sealed products because the risk is much lower because it's a basket of so many cards. Whereas a single, you're betting on that one card. It's obviously different if you're talking about grading, but that's something I'm personally not super into. I like having binders with cards in them. Obviously, I have a few cards that are graded behind me, but I don't have like this crazy graded like collection that a lot of people have. And then when I'm like collecting personally, it's a lot of singles that I really like. And I've just kind of decided with singles, I'd rather have fewer that I really like than a lot. A lot of people compare like those $1 singles to like penny stocks. And I think there's a lot of like logic in that. So as a collector, I collect singles and I like to have one-offs of individual products. I accidentally bought 2 Unbroken Bonds ETBs, though. You can see they're both behind me. Didn't mean to do that. But those products that are so high above MSRP aren't things I'm buying as much as an investment. Those are more just for my personal collection, and that's why I'm usually not buying them in bulk. I remember like 2 years ago buying a few Unbroken Bonds and Unified Minds booster boxes, and I felt like I was committing a sin paying like $140 for them. And now it's obviously much higher than that. So when I'm talking about it from like an investing perspective and like my like closet of like chaos, where all the cards are, obviously, that's a lot of just things that I was able to get below MSRP or at MSRP. And if you're really dedicated to staying up really late, hoping for a notification from the Poke Investing, or no, it's the Pokemon TCG deal subreddit, you can get some pretty good deals. So yeah, I usually wait till I can get things at MSRP. So that's worked out pretty well for me so far.
And so like is your collection just all over the place? Is it Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all different eras, sealed, slabs, kind of just, is it everything basically?
So I do love Yu-Gi-Oh and I do collect it, but I don't spend that much money on it because I can't rationalize it in my brain as being a, responsible purchase. Obviously trading cards, they're still very risky regardless of which ones they are. But I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh necessarily has that same long-term potential just because they don't do a good job of pulling in the next generation of customers. And like as a business model, it just seems really flawed. Because like, the way they got in their current like demographic is people who are kids, but they aren't pulling in new kids. And it doesn't seem like they're pulling in that many adults either. So that's concerning to me. But yeah, I collect a lot of Pokemon cards, quite a variety. I collect some other things as well, like some different figures. Not just Pokemon, but I do have a few Pokemon figures behind me as well. So I think those are pretty cool. I just really love to collect things and I really like to stare at things that I think look cool. So yeah, I'll collect pretty much anything. Usually I'm pretty selective with singles to specific Pokemon that I like, I think a lot of people are like that, but my rule with singles is like, if it's something that I think is cool, someone else probably will too. So I don't want to buy things just hoping they'll go up if I don't really like the cards. And these ones behind me aren't things I'm really ever planning on selling anyway. So I'd rather just have something that I can actually enjoy when we're talking about singles.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to go about it. I mean, as long as you like it and you're getting enjoyment out of it, you're still, worried about the financial value, obviously, but it becomes less of a big deal, unless you're buying something like, a stock or something that has no value to you. It's literally just letters and numbers on a screen. But that actually brings me in. That's a great thing to kind of transition. So what are you interning at? Are you like some type of financial analyst or is that what you do?
I'm a research analyst. And
Okay.
what my team specifically does is value investing. So that's why a lot of times I'll harp on overpaying because it's really important to not overpay for things when we're talking about investing from an ROI perspective. So you can buy something that's a great product, but if you're paying a terrible price, that's not great either. Value investing, you can either buy something great at a good price, or you could buy something good at a great price. And I think both of those are equivalent in my mind. But when you're buying something that is great at a pretty bad price, like I feel like evolving skies right now. I've harped on that one a little bit, but so for me, paying the right price is quite important because raw dollar amounts mean nothing. Everything should be in terms of percentages, in my opinion. Obviously, there are fees, and those would affect the percentages and have to be kept in mind. But yeah, I guess I've just always been interested in investing and stocks. I almost made like a personal finance blog at the start of 2020 and wrote a few posts, but then I just felt too weird about it, so I didn't. And yeah, I've just been interested in investing like since high school, and it just like always interested me because I've always been a bit more like analytical. I really like math and that type of thing. So that's just kind of how I got here, because I like to carry that over to everything I like not even intentionally, because I'm always trying to get a great deal. I always want to kind of optimize things. And so that kind of lends itself well to talking about things in terms of these types of analytics.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge thing too, because a lot of us in this community, especially in the investing side, we want to think we're smart. Obviously, a lot of us are involved in the markets as well. But that's why I wanted to have you on. Someone like you that has the analytics and all the skills and the education behind what you're presenting. I just think you bring a whole new kind of level to it that a lot of us haven't experienced, because I mean, I'm sure. Where are you interning at, by the way?
I don't know if I'm supposed to say
okay.
that. And the one I'm currently at, I've been at for over a year, but I'm starting a new one this summer just because it's pretty typical. Most people in college, like for finance, will have summer internships. But my company that I worked with, they let me stay on, which is very nice of them because I can work remotely, lay in bed, make my spreadsheets. Pretty sweet gig, I won't lie. But I just don't know if I'm supposed to say where I work. So, or like talk about, things like that.
So it's one of like the big banks, basically.
Yes, it's
okay.
pretty
So
well known.
so you're basically around people that you're around probably very smart people all day. I mean, so I'm sure you pick up a lot about kind of just the overall sentiment and movements of markets in general and things. So I mean, how well do you think that's helped you bring that into, just like a Pokemon space? It's a real small subsect, as part of like the broader, I guess, market as a whole compared to like everyday life. We're talking about a niche collectible. I mean, what similarities do you see? And, what differences do you see of this being just a hobby? I'd love to get your take on that.
Yeah. Well, I don't want anyone to think that you need to have any kind of like professional training to invest in Pokemon cards, because like 95% of the stuff that I do at my job doesn't apply to trading cards and that type of thing. I think it's really just about thinking in the right way and trying to stay rational, whether that's when the market is good or when it's terrible. When I was a kid, my family was hit really, really hard by the 2008 recession. So I've kind of seen like the worst case scenario and just been through it. So I'm like pretty unfazed when people are talking about, Pokemon market crashing or anything like that. It's not like that concerning to me. What was the main question was, how does this help me?
I don't know, just kind of if there's anything you've kind of, I guess, learned being involved in, that type of industry, if they think would help other people, getting involved in collecting and investing in a hobby like this.
Yeah. One of the number one things, I think this is probably the number one, is once everyone is already talking about something, it's probably too late to like get in and make crazy money. Obviously like the Pokemon bubble, like by the time everyone was talking about it, it was nearing the top, that type of thing. Or just individual products, you'll see, especially when it's like bigger channels talking about it, they're getting tens of thousands of views, and that can mean it's too late. It's like when I look at a company on like Yahoo Finance or something, and there's a great article about how it's, a great investment for right now, or how it's gone up so much. It's especially things that have already gone up that I'm always wary of. So I usually like stay away from that. And I also try personally not to read too much about like other people and what they're doing and what they think. That's kind of counterintuitive, but I think it can just skew your mindset. So when I'm looking at a company for my job, it's like a long process, and obviously you want to figure out what the business does, how they're doing, make your little spreadsheet about them. But I think an important thing is being careful not to take too much stock into other people's opinions. There are really good things you can take away from what other people say, especially when it's talking about actual numbers and analysis for like certain news things. But I think it's important to also like follow your own reasoning, because also when it's something you've reasoned out yourself, it's a lot easier to either doubt that decision. So, I don't think I have some amazing credibility. Like if I saw someone with 100,000 subscribers say something, I might think it's, oh, that must be right. So I'm more questioning of my own assessments. But then also once I've reached my conclusion, I'm confident enough to stick with it, just because, when you try and decide something yourself, you have to look more into it probably than a 10-minute video that you're going to watch. So that's something that I think has definitely helped me. And then, of course, just like looking at things from an analytical perspective, one of my econ teachers told me that like you only really need like 3 or 4 numbers to get a picture of like a country's economy and what direction it's going in, but they'll add in all this other stuff just so they can have their job. And the first part really stuck with me, less so the last part, because I love to add in extra numbers. But the fact that you can pull a lot of data from a few numbers, I think is really cool, because a lot of times it's like there's not that much information, but you can do a lot with the information you do have. So I made like a really long video just talking about the prices of some packs, and all I started was like the MSRP and the final price, and then by the time it was done, the like whiteboard was covered in numbers and equations. So I really like doing that type of thing, and just going deep,
No, that's awesome. That's such a great answer, because that really speaks to everyone out there. Everyone out there is hearing so many different viewpoints from so many different creators, and whether you're on Discords or online forums, wherever it may be. And that what she just said is exactly what everyone out there needs to do, is take in everything, because there's going to be goods and bads everywhere. And all it is information for you to kind of look up and decide for yourself and make your own decisions. Because that's the best piece of advice out there is, at the end of the day, if you make your own decisions based off your own research and in everything that you believe, even if you're wrong, you're not going to feel as bad as if you just blindly followed someone because of what they said and it was wrong, if that makes sense. So, I mean, that's the way I feel about it. I think everyone should always do their own research. Like, obviously we can give hints, tips, things based on experience or based off, education we have, or, things that we've seen in markets. But at the same time, there's no guarantees. It's all speculation. And everyone just needs to come up with their own conclusions to these answers for themselves. It kind of goes into this question. I've seen it right here. Basically, someone was asking if there's a possibility that we could still be in a down market right now, and if that could continue, and what we think about that. I mean, I'll give my take first, and you can give yours. I don't know if we're in a down market. I think we're in a consolidation phase. I think we're, in a time where, people are really, they're kind of watching every penny. They're not just blindly buying everything anymore. It's why we see sets like Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike. Okay. And that's why we see sets doing well, like Evolving Skies, Brilliant Stars, and Celebration. So we're in this phase where people are finally starting to pay attention to every dollar, and they're saying, hey, kind of like Astral Radiance. A lot of people are saying it might be a dud set. They're not going to be buying into it. People are saying, hey, I'm not just going to blindly buy every product. I'm going to wait and see kind of what it has to offer, and if it's right for me. The sets that are right for me, I am going to put my money into it because I see value. And then the sets that aren't, that I don't see value in, I'm going to leave, and I'm not going to worry about. So I don't know if it's a down market, I would say. I think it's a consolidation phase, kind of gearing up for that next upturn in the future. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a really hard question to answer. It's personally something also that I just don't concern myself too much with. People talk about it being impossible to time the market, which I absolutely disagree with. I think it's absolutely possible, but a lot of times, like, the mindset is wrong. But I think that even when things are going down, it's still a good opportunity to buy, because if the price is better than yesterday, that's still a bit of an advantage you have, and it's dollar cost averaging down, which is pretty ideal. Obviously, there are situations where you shouldn't just keep buying things forever and ever, and you don't know exactly what's going to happen. But even just looking at the actual like market right now, we're really in like a real market again, because like back in 2020 was just absolutely crazy. Talking about like the actual stock market and Pokemon, both of those were going crazy. Now it's really going back more to a normal market where you can see like there are winners and losers, that type of thing. I think that goes for individual products. Like you were just saying, you're not buying sets you don't believe in. I think that's a really great point. So in terms of whether or not it's actually going down, I don't really think it's going down that much. I think that singles, especially less desirable ones, will continue to go down. Maybe some sealed product from like X, Y, and earlier will go down. It's hard to say with vintage stuff because the sales volume just like isn't really there. So I think that probably there might be some more like downward momentum for things that aren't things people are collecting because they want to collect. Even if it's something people want to have as an investment, I think a lot of people are focusing, rightly so, on things that they actually want to have more now, whether that's also as an investment or purely as a collectible. So I just think it's kind of going back to the way a collectible should be. And it's hard because Pokemon doesn't have like a regular beta, so it's like not correlated with the stock market in any like absolutely logical way. You know, the economy cannot be doing well, but collectibles can still do well. But over time, I think if the economy does end up going badly, which it might, I've been reading some articles talking about how like maybe like mid 2023. I don't know if that's true though, but I could see that there being a lagging effect for Pokemon. Like it's delayed because people aren't immediately selling things that they care about the second the economy goes down. It's after a prolonged period that those things will start to happen. So I think right now, I don't think we're going to see like another massive drop, but I think in the next few years, it's important to be mindful.
Yeah, I think everyone needs to be careful. Always make sure you're trying to get the best prices. If you are taking risks, if you are moving into cards that have, they've seen spikes and they're still high, just understand your downside risk. How long term you plan to hold things, and just watch your entry points, right? Obviously, getting in a retail or under on sealed products, pretty safe. Your basic biggest risk is maybe 5-10%, a little more loss, or basically stagnant into the future for a while. It all depends on your time frame you're looking for. Anyone with those 6-month time frames, you might as well just look for something else. I don't know, go buy some NFTs, because
you'll probably just make more money working even like a minimum wage job at that point for the amount of time that you'd have to invest in this. So yeah, no, that's definitely an interesting perspective though, and I think I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah, I know neither one of us are running a business or anything, but anyone who's trying to make consistent profits, you have to make a good amount of gain to be able to buy and sell, because the shipping, the fees, all the packing materials, then like she said, all the time that it's taking you to research and find all these deals, and the time it takes to list and try to get these products sold, take message from buyers about these items, take the pictures. It's a long process. And like Ava just said, you'd probably be better off working minimum wage by the time it's all said and done. So, I think we're in more of that collecting phase for collectors, more in that long-term phase, looking for things that are going to perform in long-term instead of 6 months a year. And yeah, I think we're looking at that type of sideways, maybe some growth into the future for right now. And I don't know, do you know anything I don't about the economy? You're kind of scaring me with that a little bit.
I have no information that's not available to the public.
Okay.
And so no information that's not publicly available here. A lot of it's just looking at things like treasury rates, that type of thing. I don't really want to get too much into that right now because that's like a really complicated topic, and I don't want to accidentally say something that would like misinform anyone. But yeah, those things are interesting to look at. Yeah.
No, I hear you. I'm trying to scan the chat for any comments or questions you may have missed. Have you seen anything you wanted to address? Or any subjects people mentioned that
someone Digi was talking about during the boom, people were confusing flipping, short-term, and investing 5 to 10 years. I think that's a really, really great point. I think a lot of people were doing that. I think sometimes they became synonymous. I think there were like 3 categories. There was like scalping, flipping, and then like investing. And I think a lot of people just mushed together flipping and investing to mean any kind of purchase of Pokemon cards with the goal of financial gain that we don't count as scummy. You know, obviously flipping is a totally different thing. I used to flip cards pretty regularly, not necessarily flip, but like sell cards, you know, fairly regularly. Up until like the end of 2020, I was selling cards. It just became harder to find good deals. I used to love looking for like lots on eBay, because like when you're just buying a bunch of cards at once, it's so much easier to get a good deal, and you're getting paid as the person who's willing to break them up and sell them individually. But I don't think that's really the case anymore. A lot of times people are overpaying for lots more than what it would be worth individually, which is just crazy to me.
See, I'm so glad you said that, because I've asked other people about that, and I mean, they've said that they're still doing that. They're still finding lots of good deals and being able to buy them and break them down and make, you know, good profits on them. I'm with you though. I mean, I remember back before 2019, 2020 time, it was really easy. It was kind of like however much you wanted to spend was how many lots you could buy, because it seemed like they were everywhere. And it wasn't just card lots. It was video game lots. It was all kinds of stuff. People were just kind of throwing lots out there. I don't know if people didn't do the work, or they didn't want to kind of research how much each item cost and then bid according to that. But yeah, it was so much easier to find lots with more value than what they were going for. And it was really easy to kind of get in those, kind of flip the items you didn't want to be able to keep the items you did want for free, basically. And yeah, I really feel like that's been going away. I don't know if, I think people have gotten a lot smarter. They're, like you said before, they're really diving into the numbers really deep. And it's getting to the point where everyone's diving into the numbers. And then it's also getting into a bidding war at the same time. And these are going for more than they're really worth it at the end of the day. And I don't know if people are just wanting to collect it, they just want everything in those lots that bad, or if you're kind of misinformed. They think they're going to be able to buy the lots and then flip and make a profit. I'm not sure why everything's going so high still. So
yeah, I think the people who are still able to do it are, a lot of times it's YouTubers talking about it who are maybe getting collections from people who watch their channel. And obviously they can get a better deal doing that. Or people who are buying very like high-end lots, I see a lot of the time. Or it's people buying like a bunch of really cheap cards, but then their margin is basically zero, especially after fees and whatnot. And like personally, I used to never sell lots, but I recently have sold like some cards that I didn't feel like were worth selling individually, and it would sell for like, you know, a few $100s, which the amount I made selling the lot is more than I actually would have made selling the cards individually. So it's weird to see how that's kind of inverted. You know, I wasn't selling it for, you know, more than the cards were worth, but I just have to pay shipping once, which is really, really nice.
yeah.
So I think, yeah, it's definitely become a bit like kind of turned on its head for how it should normally be. You should always pay less when you're buying in bulk, but that's not always the case anymore.
Yeah, everything's been kind of turned on its head. I mean, the lots, the fact that Pokemon's went from reprinting booster boxes and leaving ETBs alone, and now ETBs are being reprinted and the booster boxes as of now aren't on a lot of these sets. It's kind of like Pokemon's doing a 180 on a lot of these things. And the market, like you said, is even doing a 180 on how they treat lots versus, you know, single items. And I don't know where it all ends. I know it also eBay and things go through stages of buy it now and auctions kind of switching places. Like on some markets, the auctions are going a lot higher than buy it now sometimes because people get caught up in shill bidding or something, or I don't know what they get caught up in. But and then also, you know, there's times where the buy it now price is so much higher than what all the auctions are going for. And so people kind of just sit there and hold out for that price, but then every card that goes to auction goes lower than that. And so it's really hard to keep up with, knowing, you know, it can change between each card or each item. So those are all really hard things to keep up with when you're trying to, you know, be a flipper in markets like these. And it, like you said, becomes almost more trouble than it's worth at that point. You might as well just get a job and do this as a hobby, because and also I think you're right about the YouTubers getting collections, but I also think that the ones doing it successfully are doing it more on the high end. I think they're getting more of those high end collections, those high end slabs. They're able to kind of take things off people's hands that they don't want to sell everything individually. They don't want to take the risk of shipping all of them out. So they'll be able to come in with those high dollar amounts, pay them all at onse, and then they can take the risk and do the work and make the profit. So that makes sense too. You know, if that's your business and that's what you want to do, it's a good way to make an income doing that way. But unfortunately, the regular people like us, you know, we're kind of out of luck on the regular eBay lot system we used to use, right?
Yeah, I think if you want to buy lots, or if you're trying to really flip cards in any sense, it's like not like it used to be. It really requires either more money than other people have, more knowledge than other people have, or buying from places other people aren't buying from. So when I say that, like obviously high end, we're talking about that, but also you can still potentially get a profit by buying from places like Bai for Japanese cards, because you're buying from Japanese sellers, and there are a lot of shipping fees with that. But I found that for certain cards that I want that are Japanese exclusive, I can get a much better deal on there. So I think that is one way that you can still make that happen. But there's obviously a lot more risk, and it's much more of a time investment because you have to like wait months for those to come in, that type of thing. And in terms of the auction or buy it now thing, personally, I almost never ever sell cards for auction, or anything. I used to flip purses. And I would never ever auction any of those off, but I would always buy them on auction and I would sell them on like another resale site. So the buy it now is really, it takes longer, but usually the profit will be higher, and auctions will usually not go above the buy it now because otherwise people would click the buy it now. So for anyone out there looking to sell, I personally, if you're not selling a large volume of cards, I think buy it now is pretty good.
That's an interesting point you just made. So you were buying lots on eBay or so, and then you would actually flip them on a different platform?
So, well, sometimes I'll buy cards on, not anymore. This is really past tense. I would buy cards on eBay, sell them on TCG Player, for a few reasons. First, it's way easier to list cards on TCG Player. So when you're buying a lot of cards and like you aren't wanting to invest that much time in this, it's way easier to sell them on TCG Player. And you can ship cheaper cards in TCG Player without tracking, which does save a lot of money. You are incurring risk, and I wouldn't do that for any card that's over like $20. But for the most part, it'll definitely like increase your profit margin by a lot. But when I was buying auctions on eBay, I would buy like these purses, and then I would sell them on Poshmark, which is like a clothing resale site. And it's just like a higher end demographic because you have to know the demographic of where you're buying and selling from. People on eBay aren't willing to pay as much as people on Poshmark. And like the way you would lay out the listing, you make it look more aesthetically pleasing and just like have better pictures. It really does help. And I think that goes for eBay as well. If you have like clear pictures, definitely helps.
So has that market dried up too, like the purse flipping market, or?
No, it's boring.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have some purses like that I had from that. I have one that's like behind some cards over there that's in the back of some of my videos that I would never be willing to spend anywhere close to retail on. But when you're buying all these purses, it's like a pretty good deal. So that's cool. But trading cards is way more fun.
Yeah, it might surprise you, but I'm actually not that knowledgeable about the purse market. I know it's surprising. I know I should know more about it, but
yeah. Well, I mean, you don't really need to know that much about purses.
I was just kidding.
Don't worry.
I've kind of seen some comments in the chat and some people talking about it. So it's a really good discussion, and I think a lot of people have it, is future of the hobby, right? So, obviously there's people kind of spread out between our age, 20s and 30s, but then you also have the new generation, the kids. And there's always that debate is, are the kids going to be the ones driving the market in the future? Are they going to care about the cards? Or is it going to be a lot like, what happened when I was growing up, where 1999, 2000, 2001, the big boom. And then after that, a lot of us just left the hobby for 15 years or so. And so I'll be interested to hear like your opinion on, the future of this. Do you think it's going to just keep being driven by everyone our age into the future? Or do you think that second generation is going to play a huge part and kind of shift the whole market because, they're into modern and they don't really care about vintage as much? So is the modern now going to be the new vintage? I feel like this is talked about so much. So I'd love to hear what you think about that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be just driven by people our age. Like to the point you said about people leaving the hobby for 15 years, it doesn't matter if they stay into it throughout their childhood. It's really about getting people to come back to it. Like, a lot of people did as adults. I think a lot of, the people, especially if you talk about Pokemon investing, are people who got out of it and then got back into it. You don't have to love something your entire childhood to want to buy it as an adult. You know what I mean? And I think that not everyone who spends a lot of money on Pokemon cards right now, like was around and collecting during like the base set boom, myself included. So I could be considered like, I'm a few years later, so maybe like one generation 1.5 or something. And I'm starting to spend more on it now. And I think probably in the next few years, there'll be more people my age starting to collect again more seriously, obviously spending more money than they did as kids. And I think that'll hold true for the next generation, because Pokemon does a great job of getting kids into the hobby and like into all things Pokemon. I don't think that's changed at all. And I think it'll continue to be true. And I think a lot of people talk about this, but a lot of people collect with their kids, which is like a pretty big advantage. Those people are going to help expose their kids to it, because they're probably more supportive of it than like, our parents were, who just thought it was like a huge waste of money. Maybe they're not wrong, but.
Right. They're probably right. We're probably all wasting our money. What are we doing here? Yeah, so DigiSmithy, he's continuing on to that point, is that the kids might care more about the digital card games. And yeah, I heard that before, kind of when Pokemon Online started really taking off. And I just don't know how I feel about that, because one thing, the code cards used to be very valuable back in like XY around that time. And I don't know, I think we've seen a big drop off of the popularity or cost of code cards, and they're not as big of a deal. So it kind of tells me that maybe the Pokemon Online isn't as big as it used to be. It might not be as, I don't know. I honestly, it's just my opinion. I don't have any inside knowledge or any super it's not a strong opinion, but just if you're asking me, I think the physical cards and the actual collectible is still going to be big in the future, just because at the end of the day, actually, I was just thinking about it. That's a bad point. I was going to say at the end of the day, it's a digital asset, but that's exactly what an NFT is. We know how those are going.
Well, we don't know how those will go.
At the end of the day, I think most people still want something physical to, kind of hold on to display, more than just having like these cards in a folder, in a program on a computer. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm not in the part of that generation. That generation could have completely different values. So I guess I'm not knowledgeable enough to know how that generation is going to feel. I just think for at least the near term, there's enough stability in this market to continue to carry these values into the future. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about the whole NFT digital asset craze?
Well, okay. So code cards, first of all, I don't pay too much attention to them now. But the fact that they are cheaper than they were is a bit concerning, because 2020, I know they got more expensive than they had been for a while, because obviously people couldn't play in person. So the fact that they're still kind of on average declining in spite of that would suggest that that's not doing very well. That said, there are other digital Pokemon games aside from even the main games like Pokemon Go, that type of thing. But I absolutely agree in terms of the cards, flipping through a binder feels way better than like clicking through some web pages and looking at pictures of cards. It's very, very different. And like, you can't get that shine on a computer screen. It just doesn't work as well. And in terms of like the online game, I played the online Pokemon game for a bit, because I used to play the TCG. I wasn't super into the online one because it's like a real pain in the ass. And like, you have to like enter those cards in or scan them or whatever they do, how they do it now. And it's just like really a tedious process, in my opinion, to get the cards you want, because you have to like trade code cards or you have to pull them. And it's just like, it was a really shitty API. I don't know how the new game is, but I wasn't a huge fan of that. I've also played the online Yu-Gi-Oh game, which is Duel Links, that just came out. I think that's much better, but it's still, to me, even though this is a way better way to play the game, and it's not better than the like cardboard version, but not better than the real version, but better than the online Pokemon game, wouldn't replace it for me. I don't feel anything special about having those cards like in a digital form. Doesn't really mean anything to me. And then the Magic the Gathering one, just to go full circle, I know it's really popular. And it has affected the modern market for Magic, to my understanding. I don't know how Yu-Gi-Oh would be affected by Duel Links, but I think that MTG Arena has had an impact. But it's really on just those cards that, would go from like 5 cents to 25 cents, or like $1, that are just like the cards you need to fill out your deck. They do get hit a little hard. Not really collectible cards.
Yeah, and I know there's some sort of market for the actual digital cards on eBay. People do sell the digital cards when they pull them. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we need to have a child on the channel for one of these podcasts, and they can tell us how they feel. I really don't know, because we have me, which I'm 31. How old are you? 20, 21?
I'm 21.
Okay, so you're 21. So we have, a good age gap there already. I don't know. Maybe we need to ask 11-year-old next how they feel. I don't know.
Full circle.
Right. I know I just saw in the chat too, someone just said they're 43 and they just got back into Pokemon with celebrations, and now they're doing it with their daughter. And so it's, it's really like a full circle. I think everyone, at least our ages and older, still feel the same way we do about having that physical item, being able to enjoy it in your hand, enjoy it in the binders or the display like you have behind you. But who knows? Maybe this generation really is that hooked to their phones and their screens, and it's going to end up that way. I don't know.
I just, it's one thing between a book and a digital book, but there is like a real difference in the experience, I feel like, with trading cards. And a lot of people still prefer physical books, but also a lot of people are talking about NFTs, and man, that's an interesting topic. I don't really believe in them, but just because I don't believe in them doesn't mean that I'm going to tell you that tomorrow they're all going to be worthless. Things can happen in the future. I think people say there's some potential for them to be mildly useful in some way. And in that case, maybe there can be some value there. Personally, I have no interest in them. Maybe I'll make an NFT and you guys can all buy it, though. That'd be great.
Shilling her NFTs. All right. I'll be the first one to buy it. I'm gonna go all in on the Eva's Binder NFT game.
Thank you. I'm going to hate on NFTs until the day I release mine. Then I'm going to change my tune entirely.
All right. Do you want to go into a controversial subject?
Sure.
Let's talk about Patreons.
Okay.
I'm sure you've seen the live streams lately, like Pokemon Knowledge, Pokenomics, things like that. And it's been a hot topic about paywalls and things on YouTube. Obviously, you have a Patreon. I don't know how long ago you started it, but so obviously, I think I know how you feel. You're probably in favor of them. I am too. I don't understand. I'll give my 2 cents, and then you can let me, know your thoughts behind it. But I think at the end of the day, I think most people in this space. I can speak for myself and some people I've talked to. You can tell me if I'm wrong. I think most of us have an audience of people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. There's some outliers here and there, but on average, we're not speaking to children. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with having a paywall and pitching things like that to adults, because adults can very easily say, hey, I don't see value in this. I don't want it. Thanks for offering, but no thanks. And also anyone who's involved in a hobby like this, who's already decided they're going to put some extra money towards Pokemon. It's not like food, shelter, clothing, right? It's not something you need to survive. And so you already have extra money you're putting towards a thing like this. And so to ask someone to, for an extra $5 or $10 that, will support your channel or also benefit them because the content behind the paywall may be of a little higher quality. There may be more value in it, whatever it may be. I don't think it's a crazy ask. And then the last thing that goes into it is, I don't know how to put this here. I'll gather my thoughts so I can put this in a good way so I don't ruffle any feathers, but you tell me your thoughts first.
Yeah, well, so I obviously believe in Patreon. Go join my Patreon, everyone. Shameless self promo. It's in the pinned comment of my most recent video. But I think it really depends on how you're using it. Especially if you have a major presence outside of Patreon, if you conduct all of your content inside of Patreon, especially I think when we're talking about YouTube, I think it depends how much you're putting on Patreon versus YouTube. So on my Patreon, I'll usually a lot of times before I publish my videos, I'll write up a little post about it, which is also just helpful for me to gather my thoughts. So that's something, I maybe would have written up anyway, and I'll publish those. Or I'll share some extra spreadsheets just with the numbers laid out a bit better for people to see better than what I'm writing on my whiteboard, or just little extra things, or maybe early access. I think it really
to cut you off. Those spreadsheets are probably worth it right there.
People offered to pay me
time to put all that together.
People offered to pay me on Reddit, and I should have said yes. But but I think it's important to make most of your content available for free. I think a lot of times like people are trying to be like gurus or that type of thing. And I just, like, especially the finance thing, it just like, it makes me feel a little dirty even having a Patreon. But so the way I think about it is like a freemium model. So a really interesting example of this actually that I learned about recently is some bands like Nine Inch Nails will release their albums for free. So that's like the majority of their content, right? So most of the people who enjoy it can get everything they want for free. But then, they'll have their like collector's version CD or something that they'll charge for. And that'll be the people who just really like that extra content and are really buying it more so to support the artist. And I think that's a really good way to go about it. And I say Nine Inch Nails because I think they're one of the first people to really do this. It was in like, I think maybe 1994 or something. I'd really have to double check. I don't know my numbers on this, but it's something I learned about recently and I thought was really interesting because I think it's a good business model. And I think it's a pretty ethical one because if we're talking about this from an economic efficiency perspective, I learned about this in my one of my classes recently. Like, you're increasing the size of the pie because a lot more people are able to enjoy the content, but then people with a willingness to pay are also able to get extra, which is, potentially what they would want, and it benefits the artist. So it's like overall a net benefit to everyone. But I think when you're doing the type of thing where it's, you have a short video and then the bulk of the content is on Patreon, it just reminds me of those things where it's like, sign up for my $400 course and I'll teach you how to invest. And it's people spending like a lot of money. And like you said, it's really how much you're paying to, I think, matters a lot. I think it's, much less concerning to pay like, $10 to $25 a month versus like 50 or that type of thing. And like, especially when you get into like, calling it like, I'm not like calling anyone out here, but like when you call it like consulting or charging people to talk to you one-on-one, I don't think that's really something you should do, especially with Pokemon cards, because it's like not actual investing. And when you're calling it that, you're opening yourself up to a lot of legal liabilities. None of this is financial advice, guys, in this whole live stream, just so you know. Just getting that out there. But when you're actually like calling it that, that's opening you up to some legal liabilities, especially when you're telling people what they should be buying and potentially spending a lot of money on. So that's just like concerning to me, especially like regardless of whether or not you have your license, that's something you should be careful of. And I don't think it's necessarily ethical because like, what can you really tell someone? They'll tell you like, I bought Evolving Skies, and you'll tell them great job. Like, I don't know. I think that's maybe like a bit of a hot take, but I think it should be more just supplemental rather than like the meat and potatoes of your channel.
Yeah. So I think it all depends on the value you're getting. So, basically like on more of like an extreme, view, like Rudy from Alpha Investments, right? He has the Patreon where he allows you to buy sealed product at distribution levels. So your money's like going, if you're buying enough product, it's going right back into the product you're buying. So you're actually always coming out ahead each month. So he's providing actual monetary value. Now you get into like Patreons, like you're talking about, where you're providing, maybe not direct monetary value, but if things like the spreadsheet. So basically, think about anything in life, a job, it gets paid for it. Well, with content creation, like, yeah, eventually if you get monetized, YouTube will pay you a little something. It's not much, but, for all the work you put in, it's just like a little something extra, for the work you put in. So if you put all this work into creating all these spreadsheets, pulling all this data, yeah, it's free data. Yeah, it's out there, but someone else would have to spend hours and hours and hours of their time to go find and pull all this data and create all these spreadsheets and, or videos for that matter, with all this information in them. And so you're basically saving hours and hours of time out of their day. And it all comes down to, how much is that monetary value to them worth? And so there's a lot of different value out there, whether it be monetary or, indirect monetary value. And I think Patreons overall are a good thing because here at the end of the day, what is it? 10, 20, $25 a month. If you don't like it, if you don't feel like you're getting the value, you can cancel it the next month. So you're not taking much risk. Hey, maybe you get in there and it provides tons of value and it really sets you, on a great, trajectory in your Pokemon investing or collecting, whatever you want to call it. And, it makes a lot of sense for you. So I just don't know why we came to this point in the hobby where adults are so worried about what other adults are spending their money on. Because they think it's unethical or you shouldn't be spending money for something that's free. It's almost like, driving by a gas station and seeing someone paying to air up their tires and yelling at them, hey, the gas station down the street has free air. What are you doing? Don't pay that gas station. It's just like, yeah, there's free content out there, but maybe the way you present it is a lot easier to understand than all the content that's out there. And people want to pay for that ease of use or whatever it may be. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I'm pro Patreon, and this is coming from someone who doesn't have any type of paywall on my channel. So, it's not like I have a dog in this fight. I have no bias here. It's just what I see, because it's something where it's not being pushed on you. It's not like a door-to-door salesman coming in your house and not leaving. It's, you can simply just not listen to it, click away, and it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, for sure. I think also if the quality of content that you're giving away for free, a lot of times people will just want to support you in some way. Because I could probably make more money just keeping these spreadsheets or at least not putting any of the major ones available for download. But I think that, karma goes around, what goes around comes around. I think people people who are willing to put in a lot of effort and just share cool things with people. So yeah, I think that even if, maybe you're not offering a direct monetary incentive, Patreon's really just a good way for people to support people they like. I think that's really the original point of it. Obviously, there should be some benefit for the patrons and whatnot, but I think it's really just for people who want to support,
Yeah, that too. I mean, hey, why do people give money to charities? They want to support the cause. It's the same thing here, a lot of Twitch subscriptions, they don't really give you much at the end of the day. You're basically just supporting that creator. I mean, you can go watch Twitch channels for free all day long, but some people just choose to subscribe. It's the same thing here. If people want to support the channel, they want to help, you grow and be able to afford, better equipment for your videos, whatever it may be, maybe editing, whatever it may be, it's worth it for them. And they see value in it, or they, truly like you and want to support you. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think we should judge how people want to spend their money. I mean, like I said before, if it was a thing where most of our audience was children and we're doing this type of thing, it's a completely different story. I would completely agree. But when we're speaking to adults, everyone can make their own decisions. We're all big boys and girls here.
Yeah, less than, I think it's not even listed as a percentage of my demographics as being children. It's probably less than 0.1%. And I don't see why any kid would want to watch this. It's probably super duper boring. But yeah, no, it's definitely.
Well, maybe you got them hooked back with your pack openings.
True. And if it weren't for Patreon, I wouldn't have bought that whiteboard. So there you go. Ooh, and also, this is a 4K webcam, but Zoom just degrades the quality so much. It seems like.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. There may be better platforms out there. Again, I'm just like you. I'm still learning. This is my second live I've done. So I've heard from Northwoods last night that he uses Streamlabs. So I may switch from Zoom in the future into something of better quality. I literally was just kind of scrambling and figure out a way to do this. So you're probably right there.
Oh no, I wasn't.
You still look great though. It's okay.
Thank you. I wasn't attacking your Zoom skills. But yeah, OBS is a pretty good software to use for streaming in my very limited experience. But I do also use it to record some videos.
That's what you'd be using then?
Yeah, for doing spreadsheets and stuff, that's when I'll use OBS, because you can overlay things really easily, and have my mic plugged in and this webcam plugged in. Would recommend. And it's free. It's a great company.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it's a company, but it's a great product.
Right. Have you seen anything that you wanted to kind of touch on, or do you have anything in mind?
This comment by Digi made. Speaking of money, one thing I hate when you're playing blackjack at a casino and someone gets mad at how other people play. It's not your money. That's a good comment. That's a good point too. That one I thought was really funny. Let's see if anyone else has any questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to show them out.
I'm not saying too much, but I like how people are not being mean to us and bringing up a whole bunch of controversial type things like in other chats.
It's okay.
I'm always afraid of that when I go on live streams. Is, oh no, what are people going to throw at me? Am I going to be ready for this?
I've gotten some pretty salty comments on some of my videos, not like about the Patreon or anything. Also, sorry, someone is vacuuming, if you can hear that. But I've gotten like some salty comments, so I feel like I'm just used to it at this point. You know, you just gotta be prepared for hate. If you ever say that Evolving Skies isn't going to the moon,
don't you dare. Don't you dare.
No, I'm sorry. Someone asked what the best XY booster box is.
You're gonna answer first? You want me to?
I'll let you do it while I wait for this person who's vacuuming to move in the other direction.
All right. I mean, I know Flash Fire is most expensive. I like Phantom Forces. You know, I really like Gengar. I love that silver Dialga, you know, the only silver card. I still just have a thing for Phantom Forces. That's my favorite booster box in that era. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think Phantom Forces is a good one. I really like that Dialga card. It's so unique. It's like literally one of a kind, which I think is really cool. I wish they'd made like a Palkia to match, to be honest, though, because I always like to have like the complete little set of things. It still upsets me deeply that they never made a full art Suicune EX.
Yes.
That one just, it really gets to me. I lay awake at night thinking about that. But I like Generations. I think it's just such a cool set. Like, I don't like Evolutions. I do have one box of it. I think it's that one right there. But Generations is just such a cool product. And that's one I really, really like. And I spent like $600 to get an ETB of it, which I would not normally pay, but I just think it's such a cool product and it's a cool part of Pokemon history that I wanted to have in my collection, just for my collection. There are just so many cool cards in it, and like there's like that Flareon in it is so good, and the Sylveon that's full art is also amazing. It's just a really cool set, and I think got a lot of hate, I think, when it came out originally. I think it's just great, and the pull rate's really good, so it's just a fun set to open, kind of like Celebrations. It's just really fun to open. I think it's great for kids, which I really like to see.
Yeah, I second that. I completely forgot about Generations. That's right up there with Phantom Forces to me. Yeah, speaking of that, it's not that I regret. I don't regret anything, you know, I'd sold, but yeah, I had, you know, every Generation Steel product at one point. I had the super premium collection, the Elite Trainer box, all the red and blue collection boxes, all the mythicals, and I also had the master set of it. And so, you know, I really wish I had all those things still, but I did sell them kind of during the boom when everything went crazy, because I bought them back when, like you said, everyone hated Generations and it wasn't that big of a deal. But I always loved that set, you know, just not really for financial value, but just for that collector value. You know, you had the Radiant collection, you had, you know, all the EXs and full arts and things, and that it was just, I just think it was a home run. You know, I know it doesn't have the value because it doesn't have that like God tier rarity we see with the alt arts now, but you know, I think if XY would have had those type of rarities back then, it would have been a completely different generation. I mean, I think we see a lot of those boxes a lot higher than they even are now.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a set that has good pull rates for good cards. You know, that shouldn't be a bad thing in my opinion. I think that should be a good thing. But yeah, it's just such a cool set. Man, now I'm just thinking about it. It's a really great set. There are those hollows in it as well that are almost like reverse hollows, where they have those like interesting patterns on them. Those are so awesome. I think they look so cool. Really awesome. There's a really cool, I think it's Yveltal. Just so awesome. And there's a Charizard, obviously, you know, gotta have him in there.
Every set that has a Charizard usually does well, unfortunately.
Yeah, someone asked, with the purchase of Millennium Print Group, how long do you think there will be a noticeable change? Your guess is the end of Scarlet/Violet generation. Do you mean how long until there's a noticeable change, or how long will there be a noticeable change for before you think it goes back to like baseline? Either way, I don't think much is going to change personally. So I'll just give my opinion right away. Because in the article that I read about it, which is just on PokeBeach, if anyone wants to see it, they basically said that they're still going to operate independently. So I don't see much there, but the potential advantage is, I don't know if Millennium also prints for other, you know, collectibles as well, collectible card games. If they do, then Pokemon would get a check for every time, you know, other collectibles print cards. And I think that's a really good way for them to help, mitigate the potential loss of market share from all these new collectibles.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of, I mean, not to bring like, equities or the stock market into this, but I think, this happens a lot with large conglomerates. I mean, most companies, parent companies, you don't realize how many, companies they actually own. Like if you take like a Colgate Palmolive or something like that, like, you think, oh yeah, Colgate toothpaste, Palmolive dish soap, right? That's what they have. No, they have like hundreds of companies under their umbrella. And that's what kind of Pokemon I think is doing. They're consolidating the industry. They're trying to pull, anything that kind of helps their brand or anything that benefits them, I guess. Increase their profit margins, increase the lead times on how long it takes to get things out. And they just want to kind of control things. And so, if everyone sees this and they think, oh, a huge print wave's coming, it's like that company was already still printing product. It's not like Pokemon bought them and now all of a sudden, they have all these new printers. That company was already operating, working for Pokemon, correct? So everyone freaking out and thinking that, kind of the end is coming. It's just a normal kind of pattern of business. I wouldn't read too far into it. Obviously anything can happen, but yeah, I wouldn't let that kind of news ruin your day or, ruin your Cheerios for you.
Oh, for sure. No, I agree 100%. And also, Nintendo's a pretty smart company. I think they're aware of the fact that demand has like peaked and they're not going to be opening a bunch of new printers and reprinting like to an insane level that the market can't meet. Like we saw that in XY. I think it's a smart enough company to learn their lesson. And I think some reprints would be actually, great and beneficial just to help more people get product, keep more people in the hobby, because I think people get sick of paying really high prices for things right when they come out, which I think is justifiable. Personally, I'm not willing to. And talking about the stock market and equities, I mean, that's a great point. When like we're looking at companies, a lot of times, a lot of acquisitions are like a red flag to us actually, just because a lot of times companies use them to make it look like they're growing, even if their business isn't growing organically. So organically would be if the business was growing without these acquisitions. Would they see top line, bottom line growth? And the reason it's more concerning is also a lot of times they're overpaying for these. In the case of Pokemon, it makes sense. They're not like buying something that's unrelated to them, hoping to expand their business. It's not really taking any sort of risk. I think you're right that it'll just help increase their profit margins. Yeah.
So someone asked, I think you already touched on this a little bit, but just what other things we invest in, what other hobbies are we involved in? That was Digi as well. He's been asking all the questions. So, I mean, I know you said, Yu-Gi-Oh! And what else did you say you were investing in, or not investing in, but just collecting in general?
Oh, I didn't really go into detail, but I do like to collect figures. So I have some for Pokemon back here because, those match the whole aesthetic. This one I actually got from Chinatown in Chicago. And that also, I just want to say that, you don't have to buy everything for monetary gain, because this is potentially a fake product, but I thought it looked really cool. I think it looks really cool. It's a very nice quality figure, I must say. And that has like probably zero resale value. Even though, from my understanding, actually, it's probably printed in the same factory as the authentic version of that, because I was talking to someone at a local card store who had the exact same figures for sale that I had seen in Chinatown. And theirs were obviously like not from Chinatown. And they said it's probably the same factory, which I thought was really interesting. That's a tangent. But I also just like to collect like, it's like Schleich, I think is technically the pronunciation. I used to think it was pronounced silage. I think it's spelled like this. I just put in the comments. They're just like figures. They've got like horses and stuff. I'm a horse girl, so I like to collect those. They're really cool. They're like really detailed, so I think those are awesome. In terms of other hobbies, I like to play video games. I don't do it that much anymore because I'm too busy, making weird videos on YouTube, that type of thing. I like to work out. I'm clearly super jacked, if nobody could tell yet. So yeah, those are some of my hobbies.
That's awesome.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously I was pretty, I guess, normal for my time. Obviously I was super into Dragon Ball Z. So I do have like the collection of all the VHSs ever released in uncut and cut versions. And I did have the Dragon Ball Z cards back in the day. They didn't do well. I ended up selling those a long time ago. Um, Definitely, I'm into some Yu-Gi-Oh. I wouldn't call it anywhere near an investment, just a collection. I have, a lot of the early sets, like, Legend of Blue Eyes, Magic Ruler, Metal Raiders. I kind of have like the first like 6, 7 sets, just because it's kind of what I grew up with when I was watching the show, and those were kind of what I collected. But I never got in like you did to really any real investments or.
Well, I've never invested in Yu-Gi-Oh. Well, I did actually. My first trading card investment was in Yu-Gi-Oh. Technically, so that's a lie. So
Okay.
my
Yeah, I
first
never got into
product
like that.
investment was in Yu-Gi-Oh. Technically.
But other than that, like nothing too major. I mean, it really has been a lot Pokemon. Everything else I would say other than Pokemon, I wouldn't consider like any investing. It just collectibles, like you said, like weird figures, or just things from your childhood, things that make you happy and make you smile, and things you think back like you used to have with your friends or have good times with, just stuff like that. But yeah, nothing major. I don't have any like major collections other than Pokemon.
Yeah. Also, since you bring up DBZ, I do have to admit that I'm a huge weeb. I forgot to add that because I think probably being a weeb does count as a hobby. I would say depends how much time you invest into it and how dedicated you are. But yes, I do like anime a lot.
Yeah.
Watching.
I mean, I think we all do to some point. I think if we're involved in Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, things like that, I think we all enjoy a lot of anime from time to
Yeah.
time.
If you're into it as an adult, you're definitely probably a weeb. The odds are quite high.
What do you think of small bit? Okay, here, Derek Rapp, Alex, what do you think of small businesses, online websites that sell Pokemon product 10 to 15% above MSRP at release? Oh, that's a hard one. Again, it almost comes back to the Patreon, argument. Like, it's their business. They're putting prices out there. If people choose to buy them, then great for the business. They want to support that business. If people think it's too high and they want to go somewhere else, then more power to them. I mean, I don't think we should be judging them or attacking them or anything for them trying to, make a profit. I know people get really upset, with game stores when they see them have things marked up. But, at the end of the day, you don't know their situation. You don't know, what they're getting the product for, or how much money they need to make each month just to break even. And yeah, they're doing what they think's best. If they thought it was best for them to mark it down to what everyone else is selling them for, they would. The main thing is that on eBay, when you see these ridiculously low prices, the fact is a lot of stores and a lot of sellers can't match those prices. They just can't. These stores are getting, millions and millions of dollars worth of product from Pokemon. And so they're able to negotiate much lower rates, sort of like Amazon or a Target or Walmart can. And it just allows them to be able to sell the product at that much lower. So it's kind of like the Walmart model, right? So you get large purchases, so you can list the product super low. So you're only making small amount of margins, but you're selling millions and millions of them. So that's kind of the model they're adopting is, if we can just, get millions of products, we can only make maybe $1, $2, $3, whatever it may be per box, but we can sell 1 million of them. We're making $1 million, $2 million. And then the smaller game stores, they may not be able to afford that much items, so they need to make a little higher profit per item. And that's all that is. So I wouldn't read too much into it. If it's a local game store, you want to support the owner, you want to keep a game store in the neighborhood, I would say, hey, maybe, buy a box or two from them and have some fun and enjoy the opening, enjoy the hobby. But yeah, I mean, yeah, don't get too caught up on it. If there's better deals out there, just go on your way and take that better deal. There's no reason to, to call them out or say anything like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I used to really not be a fan of that, but the more I thought about it, the more it's just like every business has to make money. Otherwise, they're not going to stay in business, or they're not going to stay in that business. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to make money. Everybody needs to make money to live. And, at the end of the day, like they could lower their prices, but if they're already selling out, it's not going to like help them in any way. But I think the bigger thing is if you lower your prices to a certain point where you're barely making any money, you're also not attracting the types of customers who are going to be really loyal to you. It's going to be people who, as soon as you start even charging around MSRP, or if your costs go up because, you know, prices rise because inflation. Magic the Gathering is doing a really big price increase, I know, and Pokemon is likely to follow suit sometime in the near future. Those are the type of people who are going to get mad at you and just aren't going to be supportive of your business. So I don't think that, you know, especially small businesses should feel compelled to kind of like, you know, bend over to the demands of like these people who are just, they're basically, a lot of times the people complaining about this are the people who want to flip something in 6 months, like we were talking about, who are so concerned with that. I am concerned with getting a great deal, but I'm not usually gonna, you know, publicly like bash a store for selling around MSRP or a little bit. Obviously there's a line, but you know, I'll buy from the best deal I can find, but I'm not gonna attack anyone who's selling it for more than that.
Yeah, I think Mason from Cardinal Gaming, if you know who that is, I think he touched on that before. And you know, sometimes stores want to keep products in stock. Okay, so you know they want to make sure they have products on the shelves for when people come in, maybe for you know Saturday gameplay or whatever it may be, or people just walk in the shop. They want to have them on the shelves for if people want to buy them. And it's also the convenience factor. You know, why do people stop at Walgreens instead of go to Walmart? You know, because it's convenience. It's right on the corner. It's a smaller store. You can get in and out. And that's kind of the game store model is, hey, you know, it's a physical shop. You can literally go up there right now, pick up the box, go home and crack it. Whereas online, yeah, it's cheaper, but you know, you got to wait for them to process it, to ship it to you. It's going to take days and you don't get that instant gratification. So yeah, I understand the small markup, you know, but yeah, as far as online, if you're online shopping, you know, do what we all do. You're probably going to go to the cheapest spot. And as long as it's a, you know, good seller, you're not buying any fake product from China, but you're probably going to go to the cheapest seller and get your product. And that's fine too. You know, there's a place in the market for everyone. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Also, talking about the physical aspect, when you're actually going to a store, I think that's really valuable. I love it. I used to play Pokemon, you know, back in the day at my LGS, and it was so much fun. And it was just like such a great experience. Fortunately, I don't get that same experience anymore just because of COVID in college. But the closest game store to me is just like a really great small business. And even though like it physically pains me to pay the Chicago sales tax that I have to pay when I shop there, and it's a little above MSRP, I still like to because it's like a good experience. Like you said, instant gratification, and it's like a fun place to go, especially if you're going with friends. So I think it's good to, you know, help keep small businesses in operation, because if there aren't small LGSs, then Walmart and Target are just going to raise their prices.
Yeah. Yeah, and me and Northwoods touched on that kind of last night about the, you know, just having fun with friends or, you know, just that entertainment, because, you know, you really have to kind of separate those two things in your mind, or even, you know, physically is, you know, where are your dollars going toward? Is it entertainment or is it really an investment? Yeah, if it's an investment, you know, really do your due diligence, do your research, decide what you're going to buy, find that best price, maybe buy in bulk, whatever it may be, work deals and get those deals and put that investment away. But you know, a lot of times in this hobby, you want to do things for fun. So if you're doing it for fun and you go into a game shop, you're able to walk around and enjoy the store and maybe buy something, you might overpay a little bit, pay some sales tax. You know, it's not the end of the world. You know, we do tons of things for entertainment. We go out to eat at restaurants where the bill's $100 when we could have got mostly the same food at home for $15, right? So, you know, I wouldn't get too wrapped up in the game stores charging a little extra. Wouldn't you say?
Well, I pride myself on being very cheap. It would pain me to spend that much at a restaurant. So, you know, that's how also I justify buying trading cards. I save money. But I agree with that. I do agree with that for sure. Like, you know, it's fine to spend money on things that are entertaining. As I said, I bought this figure that is worthless and I spent money on it, you know? No, like, or maybe someone would give me a couple bucks for it, but it's not, I'm not going to sell it for what I paid for it. But yeah, it's okay to just, you know, want to have fun, and not everything has to be monetary. It's hard for me to say, but it's true. Derek also said something really interesting. He said that he thinks it's paradoxical for them to raise their prices to have inventory. And I think this is something that maybe we can touch on a bit more, because I actually agree with you on that. So part of why it might be advantageous is because it's important to have stock when people go to your store. For example, if you sell out on day one and you never have stock in, unless it's like actual release day or your pre-order, people aren't going to want to stop in your shop anymore. And in the long run, that's going to hurt your business. And also, you know, maybe you are having as many people come in and impulsively buy other things that don't sell as well, or aren't buying as many singles. So in the long run, you know, you have to be able to maintain the supply of your business. a lot of people got fed up with the Pokemon hobby in later 2020 when they weren't able to get things so easily. You know, a lot of people got sick of it. And in terms of like other businesses, like larger businesses, it's an issue too. For example, Tesla is an interesting company, but I was looking at them one time, and you know, they were having an issue in China where they weren't able to sell as many cars, and that's a big problem. And they just weren't able to meet demand, which really puts a limit on your actual growth. And you know, people get mad at that. Or like Peloton bikes, you know, people get hyped for it sometimes, you know, when you're out of stock, but eventually they get sick of it and they'll just go somewhere else.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, and Derek Rabb, I mean, he's always in my comment section. He watches like a lot of my videos, and yeah, I mean, hey, it was only a matter of time before I said something you disagreed with, right? So I don't feel too bad. I mean, I know we're not going to see eye to eye on everything. I do understand what you mean when they do start to like get like kind of ridiculous with things and they start to raise their prices, you know, like you said, or someone said about the UPCs going for $600 or something. Yeah, that's wrong. That's completely wrong. I was more talking about, you know, if you can find a booster box online for $100 and you go in a store and it might be $109.99 or something with tax. That's more of what I was talking about, you know, because they have a storefront to pay for. They do have, you know, overhead things that an online, you know, company won't have. So just those smaller ranges. Yeah, if stores are scalping products and they're really raising the prices into like 50, 100% zone, yeah, that's a problem. I agree.
They're also probably paying a lot more taxes. A lot of times people don't report this online income or that type of thing. You know, it also depends on where they're operating. They just might not have to pay as high of taxes. So that's something to be mindful of. And definitely agree, paying high prices is ridiculous. I saw it at a local game store. It's a chain, Board Game Barrister. I don't know if anyone has ever been there. It's like a board game store and stuff, but they were trying to sell Fusion Strike for $180 a box. That's ridiculous. That's like not even a hyped product. So that I don't support. But like you were saying, I'll pay $120 for a box that's maybe going for like $110 or even $100, depending on like what the business is and like why I'm trying to buy it. Am I trying to buy it to open with friends tonight? Then I'm probably going to pay the extra money, you know?
Yeah. And I, like I said, I may be biased. I may be just blessed to where I live that I have a local game store that they don't really do that. I mean, they're pretty much usually in line with online, maybe, you know, $5, $10 higher on items, but, and then you have to pay sales tax as well. But yeah, I mean, if you're in a place where the local game store is kind of trying to take advantage of people, I understand. Don't support them. You know, eventually, they'll probably go out of business at that point, right? Hey, so look at this question is a good one. It's usually asked a lot. So PokeKid92 says, "What do you think of base set unlimited PSA 10s? They seem to still go for under $1,000 when modern will sell for over $1,000. The pops are like under 500. So it brings in this whole paradox of the vintage cards based, you know, finding them in high grades to what the population reports are at high grades compared to the prices. And then the modern cards, what the population reports are at their prices. And this kind of screws a lot of people's minds up. I'll give my take. The reason you see things like this is base set unlimited is a perfect example. It was so printed. And even though it's hard to find mint cards because they were all played with by us back in the day, there was still enough of them out there to get a good amount of PSA 10s. And here's the fact that those cards weren't rare. You know, basically you could open 2 booster boxes, maybe 3 back in the day, have a complete set. Nowadays, it would take you cases and cases and cases just to pull that Umbreon, you know, alt art and Evolving Skies. And so there's a lot more, you know, intrinsic rarity to the card. And so that's why the cards themselves are selling for so much more. I don't think the PSA 10s in modern are as valuable as a PSA 10 in vintage per se, but because of the rarity, the values kind of level out. So you're going to have these higher pop reports, these easier ability to grade 10s in modern, but the rarity is going to be a lot harder. And base set, it's going to be a lot harder to get those PSA 10s because of, you know, how the conditions were back then. But they're going to be a lot easier to find those vintage cards. So I think it just kind of levels out. I know it kind of trips a lot of people's minds out when they see these things, but I would say get used to it. As modern continues to put in these like more god tier rarity cards, you know, where you see people like, you know, doing 1,000 pack breaks and they're still not pulling the complete set. That's what true rarity looks like, people. And those cards are going to hold value in the future based on that. What do you think?
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, obviously, the first factor is supply and demand. There's a massive supply of base set out there. There were so many waves of it printed that it's just not rare. It's like really not. Versus, like you were saying, these cards, there are a lot of them out there, and there's a very high percentage of them that are mint. But the demand for these is also higher, which makes sense because an alt art Umbreon is cooler than a base set Chansey. I think most people can agree with that. That's probably true. um, but then the other is also thinking about the original price of the ungraded card. So a lot of these unlimited base sets, you can go on TCG Player and get an unlimited copy for less than $20 for some of them. The prices went up a lot, but they've gone back down. Whereas, you know, a PSA 10 version of like the Rayquaza or Umbreon or something, the original card ungraded is worth several $100s as it is. So the ratio of the prices here is probably more favorable actually to base set, which does speak to the fact that the population is a bit lower. You know, they're a bit harder to get, which makes sense in relation to the original price, why the PSA 10 would be more expensive. But like Alex was just saying, like, you know, these new ones are actually really rare and desirable. They're also just hot right now.
Well, all right, Digi says, what do you think would be the worst thing to happen in the future to crash the Pokemon market? I mean, basically just two things, right? Supply and demand. If Pokemon really just starts going crazy with their printers and reprinting every single set, and to where there's so much supply out there that the market can't eat it up anymore. Or two, if, you know, demand just falls off into oblivion, and it kind of turns into like what we saw back after the 2001, and most, people leave the hobby. I don't see that happening because it's so wide and so diverse now. But yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to supply and demand. As long as the supply stays at relatively the same level we're seeing, and new people are continuously being introduced to the hobby and coming into the hobby, that basically take away from the people leaving the hobby, and it kind of continuously evens itself out. I mean, I don't know if there's any catastrophic thing that can happen. Like Ava said before, Pokemon company is super smart. They know what they're doing. They constantly look at all these factors, and they're, expanding in a way to make sure it's sustainable into the future. So I don't have a good answer for that. Maybe Ava does. She probably has better understanding of markets than I do.
Well, yours is very logical. The answer I was going to give is kind of more of a joke answer, but I was going to say if we went to war with Japan and, those printing factories had to be converted to weapons factories, people start to hate anything that's Japanese, because that'd be bad for the Japanese Pokemon market and the US one. And war times, people probably aren't thinking about collectibles. So I was thinking something like that. Nuclear war with Russia probably wouldn't be good either. But those aren't very practical things. But I was trying to think of the worst thing that could happen, So
yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, it's not funny that we go to war with Japan. I'm saying, like, yeah, I know, when you start thinking like out of the box of like, the absolute worst things that can happen. Yeah.
I mean, it's probably bad
that world event.
It's probably bad that that's where my mind went straight to. But in terms of actual worst things, probably just the Pokemon company going out of business. I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think that would necessarily destroy the market either. But if the Pokemon franchise ends, there's not going to be that new influx of collectors. The original things will probably still hold value for at least as long as the people who were around for when they were making new stuff are alive. But I think that would be the thing that would cause the decline of Pokemon cards. I don't think they'd ever be able to maintain if the franchise if they weren't making new cards. So that's probably the worst thing that could happen in my opinion. In the short run, I don't know, probably a recession would be the worst, but like a long-term recession.
All right, so I have a question for you. So I want to make a disclaimer to anyone out there. This is not a you should invest in or you should buy segment here. I just want to know for my own knowledge. What would you say that your eyes are on right now in the hobby? Like what have you been buying, or what have you been trying to catch at lower prices? Like where's the main portion of your funds being put right now?
Yeah, like I said, used to be a lot of sealed product. I haven't been buying as much lately, but I have been buying some Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, because I've been able to get them for $80 a box. That's a great price. That's close to what, you know, these stores are paying to get them. They're not making a lot of money on it. And the downside risk there is pretty low. It can't drop much lower. I think you talked about that earlier. Like you said, it couldn't drop really more than 10 or 15% below that. I definitely agree. And yeah, so I've been buying some of those. I've been buying a lot of singles. So I've been buying more for my personal collection lately. The biggest purchase I did make was this month in a while. Oh, also, if you want to see what I bought in March, I did make a video on that. Shameless self promo, but just so it's a more coherent answer than what I'm just going to say quickly in this video. I did buy a PSA 10 set of first edition Neo Genesis packs. I've been buying more cards on Heritage. So I was able to get those for $2,500, which is a pretty good price for a first edition. So I don't know, maybe I'll sell those because I could definitely sell those for a profit, but I'll probably just keep them for a while. I've been buying a few CGC slabs. I'm not a fan of having like junk slabs, but they're things that I want for my personal collection to have. I got a Shining Gyarados, and Celebi was one example that I got from Heritage. I might just crack them out of the cases and put them in a binder, which I don't know how you feel about that. I think most people would throw up at that because the only reason I know of that people really crack slabs is to regrade them or cross grade them. So I don't know what you think about that, but I've been buying more singles and just things for my collection because if I can get things that I want for myself at a reasonable price, I'm pretty confident that they'll do fine in the long run.
No, I mean, I like everything you said. And yeah, I mean, I understand it. I mean, I don't think I really feel strongly either way, especially if it's a mid grade. I just don't see those doing too crazy into the future. So, I mean, if you want to display it in a binder, I don't see much difference. I know some people like the slab because it shows it's authentic and things like that. And you can prove the grade instead of just list it for near mint or light played if you ever sell it. But like you said, if it's for your collection, you're not too worried about the resale right now. So
yeah, and the thing is, I know it's authentic.
Yeah.
So, and like the CGC slab, I only have like PSA cards back there. So it would clash. I'm a bit of a like, I really like things to match, you know, and I like things to be aesthetically pleasing. You know, when I like set them up, I'm a very unorganized person though. So that's a weird conflict juxtaposition, if you will. But CGC slab, especially like a 7 or something, or 7.5, that just doesn't feel like a flex to me. I feel like it would look cooler to have them all laid out in a binder, like a complete set of like shinings or crystals or those types of cards, than just like a bunch of mid-tier CGC grades that aren't even like the same grade. Maybe if they're the same grade, I can see it.
So are you a big sealed pack collector, or was that just kind of a one-off? Like you saw them in a good deal, so you jumped on it?
So I don't normally buy them, but I've started buying them from Heritage because I'm able to get them for less than what I could on eBay. So that gives me like a bit of a margin of safety, if you will, if I ever want to sell them. And, you know, I like having the art sets, and Neo Genesis is one of my favorite sets. I have the Lugia right back there. So I think it is a really, really cool set in general. And I think the packs are pretty cool, and having them all together is really awesome. So I was like, well, for the price, it's something that I would be happy to have if I can't sell it. And if I can sell it for more than I paid, then that's great too, you know?
I agree.
But I do not have an extensive sealed pack collection at all. And if I do buy sealed packs, it's probably going to be through Heritage or something, because they'll tell you the exact weight, and I trust them to be honest.
I didn't know that. They tell you the weight of the packs.
Yeah, yeah, they do. So sometimes it's like, oh man, this art set, that's a fair price. And then I'll look at the weight, and a couple of them are heavy. I'm like, okay, well, that's a good price. So yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Heritage will tell you the weight of the packs, and they'll also include a description of the condition in the description of the item. It's not super detailed, but if they say excellent condition without any stipulations, it's like pretty good. None of the packs I've like gotten from there have been messy at all. They all seem like they were pulled right out of a booster box.
I mean, you might have just screwed yourself right there by putting that out there to public, because a lot of people might not have known about that. Now you're going to have a lot of more people bidding against you.
No, I've already told everyone about it and made a video about it. I think I'd rather share this and make less money, but like have fun and not just be like alone in my room hoarding things like like a goblin or something. No, I don't know. But I think it's just, more fun to share with people, and I don't think it'll really hurt me in the long run. It's not like, I don't know how you feel about this, but I don't like when people are like hoarding like their trade secrets about like where they get things. I'm happy to tell anyone where I got anything and how much I paid, unless I'm just really ashamed of how much I overpaid. But if I got a good deal, I'm fine with telling people.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm the same way. I mean, I'm sure that's why you created your channel. That's why I created mine, was to help anyone out there that was getting in the hobby. I mean, I basically created the channel because, I was in the hobby for 7 years. I went through the booms and the busts and saw everything. And, I just saw people either getting taken advantage of or getting bad advice, or, there's a lot of great content out there, but some of it's, not really catered to, the people that watch it because they want more short form. So I've been trying to make more shorter form investing content to kind of get points across like that, because kind of like you said, though, it's all speculation. There's no really trade secrets of, what to buy in Pokemon. But, when you show things like spreadsheets that you have, or when we talk about, better places to buy, where to get good prices, it can help out a lot. It can give people the knowledge they need to make smart decisions. And yeah. I love how Derek Grab's trying to stir things up. Alex, what do you think of Pokenomics paywall? I think it's great. I think he has every right to do so. And no, in all honesty, I like Jake. I don't have any problems with Jake. I mean, I know we disagree on a lot of things. But no, I mean, I like him. I think, again, I think Patreons and paywalls are good things. If you don't agree with it and you don't want to pay for it, just don't sign up. It's that simple.
Yeah, for sure. If they're not telling you they have like the secrets to life or eternal youth or that type of thing, then it's not concerning to me. That's not like a scam. If they're upfront with what you're getting and you get what you get, you choose whether or not it's worth it to you. I think that's fair. It's not holding a gun to your head.
Exactly.
And I think they have like a bunch of people on, like they'll have like guests coming, and I think sometimes they probably have to pay them or something. So, they're putting a lot of effort into it. So
Derek Rab, again, according to Pokenomics, there is trade secrets behind his paywall. Well, okay, if there's that type of things being said, I guess I don't agree with that. I'm not too up on it. I mean, I show up to Pokenomics live streams, but I don't like dig too deep into what Jake's doing over there. I've messaged Dan, Catch 'em All Collectibles, a good amount through Instagram, or, he's been really helpful towards me. He came on my stream or my channel. So, I really like Dan. So, I mean, I know he's involved with that over there with Jake. And so, I don't think, from what I know of them so far, I don't think they'd be doing anything to try to rip anyone off or anything like that. I just don't know enough. I don't know what's behind the paywall. I know Northwoods TCG is a part of it. You could probably go to his channel and ask him. He could give you a little more idea. I just don't have information. I mean, I'm sure Ava could give you information about her Patreon, though, if you want to switch the conversation to that.
Yeah, join my Patreon. Yay. Sneak pin comment in my most recent video. I mean, I don't want to start any drama here. We already talked about this a little earlier, but for anyone who wasn't around, my Patreon content's just like supplemental, sometimes like more detailed stuff, but you can learn basically everything that I have to offer from my main channel. It's just people who like maybe a little more data, maybe like having things written out for them, maybe a little more spreadsheets. Sometimes I'll talk about specific products that I think are interesting, or maybe if there's something that I just kind of want to rant about, but I don't know if I want to put a video out on YouTube about that, then maybe I'll put it on my Patreon, just, so that it's not like something super controversial, or I can just like put my thoughts out there before I make a video. So that's the type of thing I like to do, or early access to some of the videos. So my Patreon's definitely not the secrets to life. I can tell you that much. It's just some bonus content, really.
I mean, how many, creators or just people in the Pokemon community as a whole, do you know, or how like deep are you part of it? I mean, I've talked about it before. I've been a part of some online forums and, but other than that, I really don't know anyone personally. I haven't really went to like any collecticons yet or any of the, worlds or regionals or anything like that. So I'm pretty out of the loop. I'm not like involved in kind of like the inner circle or any of like the, Pokemon community. I don't know about you, Ava. Do you know anyone personally? Are you pretty involved or anything like that outside of YouTube?
Well, I'm a bit antisocial. So I mean, I know people in like the real world who collect cards and are just like my friends, but I've talked to some people like on Instagram or something, but I'm not like super deep into it. I've messaged like Catch 'em All Collectibles just on the comments of videos. You talked about him earlier, but he's probably my favorite Pokemon and like finance related channel to watch. So I would recommend his videos. He's got some great spreadsheets. He made a cool one today actually about CGC versus PSA pop reports that I thought was really great and laid out in a really nice way. He had some great graphs. So I just want to shout that video out. I really liked that. Do I know a lot of people though? No, not really. I'm also sometimes bad about responding to messages in a timely manner. And like I've had like a couple people ask me to be on their podcast or something, but man, I don't know. I feel like I'm not qualified. So I was hesitant to even come on this live stream, but
I'm glad you did. I appreciate you getting back to me. I really do appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's fun. I mean, it's definitely, now I'm less nervous, but also I do think a lot of times some of these collab videos and types of things, like when you make too many of them, they just start like you're talking in a circle. You've already said all the things you're going to say to each other. You know what the other person thinks. It's like talking about politics to one of your friends. You know what they think. You're both just trying to convince the other person, but you're not going to be able to, or you already agree on everything. And it's just like a bit of a circle jerk, if I'm being honest. So,
yeah. No, I agree with you. Like, I wanted to start doing. No, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, and I'm trying to limit as how many I do. I basically just wanted to start doing them just to meet kind of other people in the community, more than just like through comments or like Instagram messages. Like it's kind of like today with you. Like, now I feel like I know you a little better, and we had kind of a face-to-face thing. And I like I said, I don't really know anyone in the community as a whole, and so it's just kind of nice to meet people and to hear their opinions on things, and see their thoughts, I guess, more than create real like hard-hitting content, I guess you could say. And
yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people in chat like it, and they get to have their questions answered and things like that, but I gotta be honest, it's kind of selfish. It's just kind of for me.
I wasn't calling you out, by the way. You only have like a few live streams on your channel. It's not like the bulk of your content. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with it being the bulk of your content. And I feel like me calling it a circle jerk like I did maybe is a bit controversial, but I just think it's good to, like you were doing, like talk to new people, or just, I don't know. I think it's just good to get in there with some numbers. A lot of it's just like speculating, which is kind of what we're doing in this video, but I think a lot of it is also just talking about things that don't need to have numbers, which I think is what these types of things are good for. It's good for things that are more conceptual and don't need numbers to back it up. So I think that's why this is useful. And also, of course, like to talk to new people. And I really do like interacting with the chat. Like I've done a few streams solo, and I thought that was really fun. So I think it is.
Oh, you have? Okay, so you've done lives before, just not with someone.
Yes, it was me. I did one of me going on Buyee, just looking at a bunch of cards. Like I literally scrolled through like 50 copies of Shining Mew on that stream, and it was great because there were people in the chat and we were just chatting. So my streams are clearly very interesting. And I did one of me playing Pokemon for the first time because I'd never actually played it because I didn't have any kind of game console as a kid. And I was really, really bad. I was doing a Nuzlocke and it was terrible.
Wait, you didn't have any game consoles as a kid?
No, I didn't.
Wow.
So I never played them. Yeah, they were just pretty expensive. And then like by the time I got to high school and stuff, I was just like kind of busy and like didn't cross my mind, So I've always been like really into the trading cards. Like that's how I got into it, because I've been into Yu-Gi-Oh since like before I can remember, because my brothers were into it. So that's how I got into trading cards. Like one of my earliest memories is playing Yu-Gi-Oh. I use that word loosely.
I know exactly what you mean. Not by any of the real rules or anything. Just right.
I was pulling the cards out of a plastic bag that had like just a few hundred cards in it, which also explains why there aren't a lot of the ratio of near mint cards is pretty low because of people like me and my brothers putting them in plastic bags, like gallon plastic bags.
That's so funny. Well, okay, so you said you don't have time for it usually anymore, but you like playing video games. So if you didn't play them as a kid, what do you enjoy playing now when you have time?
I mean, I used to play Minecraft so much.
Oh, is it Minecraft
This
stuff?
is like actually so cringe, but yeah, I played it I don't know, from like 6th grade to 9th grade religiously. Then in 10th grade I started going to boarding school, so I kind of fell off there. But I used to play it like every day, like 3 hours at least. Weekends probably more. I loved it because you only have to buy it once. It's like $26 or however much it was, and you have the game for life. And it's a really entertaining game, and you can play a lot of stuff. So you get a lot of bang for your buck there. And then just some other games like one I thought was really cool was Doki Doki Literature Club. Just a really cool game that you can get on Steam, and I think it's on consoles now. But that's a fun game. If anyone
Hey, that could have been a route you missed, is going into the Minecraft YouTuber. That could have been a little more.
I think I recorded a video with my friends once, but I don't ever want to find it. It might be on YouTube, but no one
So
will ever
what
know
did you say happened? You went to boarding school?
Yeah. So that was kind of a random thing that happened in my life. So that was
Oh,
cool.
is that a sore subject?
No. It's not a bad type of boarding school. It's like just like a private school. But I had financial aid, so it was like a good thing. But it was like a lot of studying and stuff. And so yeah, I couldn't play as many video games, which was quite tragic. So I was watching plenty of anime though, because that doesn't have to be done in a wide time. You can get there 20 minutes here and there, adds up.
So Derek Grab, I didn't even know I had super chats available. So dude, I really appreciate you showing the support. I guess they just become active when you go live, or I don't know. I didn't ever set that up.
That you can do that.
Yeah,
it probably automatically is enabled once you monetize.
Like I said, I'm so new to this. It's kind of embarrassing. Like I said, I'm kind of learning as I go. That's why I felt more comfortable going on with Ava when she told me she hasn't done it before either. And so
yeah, no, I was like nervous because I felt like you were more experienced because I saw you on like Pokenomics channel. And obviously I was watching your live last night and I was like, man. But the one I was watching last night, I felt more confident in showing up because it seemed pretty chill.
Actually,
the ones like when it's like
idiots to you.
like the ones where it's like 4 people in a conference call, that's pretty intense, I feel like. But like when it's just 2 people, I feel like it's easier to just have a normal conversation and like, talk to the chat. And it's like easier to balance the dialogue because, it's very easy to accidentally like talk when someone else is talking when there's 4 people.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the guests too. If it gets into that kind of tense, argumentative, back and forth debate, the chat and then with each other. And I understand that can get a little intense, but yeah, I mean, I told you beforehand, if you ever felt uncomfortable with anything, we'll steer away from it. I just want you to feel comfortable on here, and we're just here to have a good time and, talk about things we enjoy. I don't know why sometimes I get dragged into those types of conversations when I'm in other chats. It's happened to me like with Pokemon knowledge. It's happened to me with Pokenomics. I don't know why. I guess it's because I play devil's advocate and kind of make counterpoints in the chat sometimes. And so it inevitably draws me into those situations, but I honestly don't. I like everyone. I have different opinions from a lot of people, but I'm still happy go lucky. I'm not there to cause any problems for anyone out there. So I hope.
Like, I'll be honest, I kind of like that. I mean, I don't want to cause any drama, but I like a good debate. Sometimes it's like spices things up. When I think it's good when people disagree and it can get a little heated. Not like we've turned the burner all the way up, but like a simmer, I think that's pretty good. I do have one probably controversial take that I think a lot of people talk about, but what do you think of Pokemon cards and like comparing them to ETFs? I have a video about this coming out tomorrow, so can talk about it. I thought it could be interesting. Yes, so it's already up for my patrons, so I can't back out of what I've already said. That's why I thought this would be good. I'm committed to my stance.
You're really selling that Patreon. We got to become a part of it before we can.
I mean, you'll get it for free tomorrow. So if you don't want to join, it's free tomorrow. It's just a day early.
So what do I think about? So you're saying, what do you mean by that? Like how they compare or making them into ETFs?
I've heard some people. Oh, also you asked about being active in like Pokemon. I'm pretty active in the Poke investing subreddit. I just like posting in there. It's pretty fun. But they'll compare like if you buy every Pokemon set to being like an ETF or index fund. I just want to know what you thought of that. Or they'll compare these two things. I mean, like I know you made a video talking about it, but comparing the returns, and I think that I have a take on it that's probably different than most people.
No, that's fine. No, I know. Don't get me wrong. I mean, yeah, if you feel differently and you tell me. Literally, you can't hurt my feelings or anything. And I'm glad that you have an opinion on it, because I feel like you have. I feel like you come from a more educated, experienced background to comment on it. Yeah, basically what I've noticed is that as long as this trend continues, it seems like the Pokemon sealed product does continue to perform at or above what the stock market's going to perform at. It's happened that way. It might not be that way in the future. I know a lot of people are down on Sword and Shield, think it's performing poorly, but I don't agree with that either. I mean, I know that reprints could be coming, but even after reprints of a lot of the sets, we still see, Sword and Shield base. We see Rebel Clash and they're around 200, maybe a little under 200. You see Evolving Skies, going up, even though a reprint should be coming. Brilliant Stars reprint is coming. So you have your high performing sets, you have your low performing sets, but it looks like anywhere from 15 to 30%, gain a year is what you're looking at right now with the sets we have out now. And, that's usually ahead of what S&P is going to give you. That's basically those were the points I was making.
Yeah.
You tell me, you trash it, just trash me.
Well, I don't disagree with that. So my issue, I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about the returns of these things, but my issue comes when people will say that buying one of every Pokemon card set or product, or multiply it by like 10, or 100, depending on how scaled you are, it's like buying an index fund or an ETF, and like that gets my goat, because these are like so different. When you say it's like an index fund, it's just like such a false equivalency, because the risk is so different. When you say, and also the diversification is totally different. So like my issue is specifically talking about like this. I don't have an issue comparing it to the stock market if you like nuanced with it and talk about the risk and stuff, because you expect higher returns when you take on more risk. But, an index fund is saying, I believe in the economy. Like, I believe that like S&P 500, SPY, or VU is another one, but you have 500 companies. You're saying, I believe in the long run, the economy will do well. I don't know what will do well. When you can buy an actively managed one, or like a sector specific one, really. That's maybe like tech or something. I believe in tech. I think it'll go up. You could do it in healthcare. You could do it in robotics or gold or anything you want, really. But then the Pokemon one, it is diversifying. Don't get me wrong. I believe in buying a variety of sets. I think that that's very important, and it's what I do. I love to have at least like one of everything. And if I'm trying to invest in it, two of everything, because I need one for myself, of course. But you're diversifying really within the trading card segment of the Pokemon franchise of Nintendo, which is like one company. And also like the S&P 500 has companies in it that for the most part are making money. For the most part, not all of them, but most of them are generating like cash flow for shareholders. And I don't think that's like the most important thing. But like when you say, like, if you don't talk about this, when you just say that, well, Pokemon, if you buy all these, it's like an ETF and it does better than SPY. I don't think that's fair at all to say, because if you're considering whether to buy, if you're considering to throw all your money in Pokemon or like SPY, I would say go with SPY just because it's like so much less risk. if you like understand the risk, it makes sense. And I think it's also like, I don't know, it's just like the kind of language that just tries to make it sound like this all more sophisticated than it is. Because like, you know, I like to talk about a lot of numbers at the end of the, but I like to talk about a lot of numbers, but at the end of the day, it's really, you know, still just a hobby. You're really just buying a bunch of different trading cards. And I think, you know, when you use this language, it just like, I don't know if it's gatekeeping or just like makes it sound more like elite than it really is. So that's my hot take on that.
No, I like it. You know, don't be afraid to call me out on something. No, I mean, I see what you're saying. And
your video wasn't the one that made me think of this. No video made me think of this. I just randomly thought of it. So that was not you though. If it was,
I don't mind if it is. I'd rather you pick on me than someone else out there because I can take it. But
well, just a lot of people have been saying this, like on the Poke investing subreddit and stuff. So it's not like one person said this. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, you know, you're 100% right. Like they're not income producing assets. They're not companies that produce cash flow or have, you know, track records that have to be basically proven and researched and turned into the SEC and all those things. So it is a completely different thing to compare into. I guess basically my whole point behind it was, you know, when people are thinking about putting money into Pokemon, my main point was if you don't know what you're doing and you want to diversify and you want to try and find the safest possible route, it'd probably be to buy, you know, a booster box of each set as they come out. And on average, you're going to perform, you know, pretty closely to what other investments are going to perform at. But yeah, it's much more risky. It's all speculation. 100% agree with that. And also, you know how YouTube is with the thumbnails, with the titles, with the videos. Sometimes you have to have some shock factor to get some eyes on your videos and your channel. So there's a little of that going on.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed, all my thumbnails are like basically the same because I hate making thumbnails. I have a color filter that I'll put on the background and I'll just like change it a little every time so it looks a little different, you know. Yeah, obviously like the title, I have no issue with people doing like clickbait titles. I don't even think your video, I feel like me even talking about your video makes it sound like I was talking about your video, but I wasn't, because you also had at least numbers there. And like what you said, I think was all right. It's just like when people will flippantly say, if buying Pokemon, like it's like an ETF, guys, because it doesn't convey the risk. And it's like, my concern is like a lot of times people look at what's online, the information, and take it to heart. But if they just listen to that, they'll think it's much less risky than it is, you know?
Oh, 100%.
And also it's like totally different because index funds are like the definition of passive. And Pokemon, like if you're actually selling Pokemon cards, that's like not passive. And the fees are way higher, obviously, but those are like more semantics.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. I think I showed the numbers of, you know, what it would be with after fees and shipping, but that's a super good point is that, yeah, even if the numbers still add up, it's not a passive investment. You can't click a button and have your money in your account. It does take a lot of work, you know, pictures, listing every item, dealing with people messaging about them, packaging up, shipping them, dealing with, you know, the possibilities of, you know, damage or being lost in shipping. And yeah, it takes work and time. So even if you wanted, you know, if you did make crazy gains, and, you know, just to divest yourself from that position, all the work it would take, I mean, and then taking the time to sell it, you're talking, you know, weeks or months of work where, you know, with a fund like that, you're literally talking about a click of a button. So yeah, that's a super good point. I probably should have added that in, you know, hindsight's 2020.
It really wasn't. It really wasn't your video.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I just wanted
I'm trying to spice it up for you.
Okay, I said Sumer. I just feel bad even implying that like it sounds like it was your video, but it wasn't. Don't worry.
I think you could practice with me before you go on other live streams and people are harder on you, maybe.
I feel like after this, no one will want me. But Derek says that, what do you think of Pokemon's trailing PE ratio up to this point? Is it fair to just say that despite the volatility of one company, that Pokemon has performed dang well up to this point? So Derek, are you talking about like the Pokemon Company International or Nintendo as a whole? Or are you trying to like are we talking about like PE really of just like the trading cards, trying to like quantify that somehow? Because I think the answer definitely depends. Also, PE ratio is like the price to earnings ratio. So really how much a company costs versus what it's earning for shareholders. And when you say trailing, it's talking about the past year's performance. So for anyone who doesn't know, that's what that is.
And you would have to really dig into the reports to find that for Pokemon Company, right? Because Nintendo's going to release all that for their their share price and everything, but to find the actual what kind of like we were talking about before, how they're going to own a bunch of different companies under their one umbrella. So you'd have to really dig into all the reports and figure out exactly what Pokemon Company actual part in Nintendo's earnings and everything was. I mean, Ava could probably do that for you. That'd be a little above my pay grade.
I have looked at the Nintendo financial reports, not like extensively, but I've looked at them a little bit just to see how they did in the recession. Just because I thought it was interesting and I mentioned it offhand in one video, but I don't think I was able to find like super in-depth information on the Pokemon segment. Like they'll talk about maybe some top line things and bottom line things. Like more for Pokemon as a whole, or like the video games, obviously, because that's like kind of more important to them than the trading card, which makes sense. So it's hard to get actual like concrete data on that type of stuff, but I'm sure you could still do a decent amount with whatever numbers you can find. I think that's true of anything. It's really fun to see how far you can go with like numbers and data before you start getting like to the point where it's like too separate and it just doesn't make sense anymore. I think that's pretty fun. So that could be a whole nother live stream. I could make a spreadsheet and we could just talk about that.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Okay, well, now I've committed myself to a lot of work.
Same time next time on your channel.
Okay.
Hey, you want to take the YouTube question from Digi?
Digi says, did you try to emulate other YouTubers, and how do you see yourself now as YouTubers? Well, he's asking both of us. So when I first started, I don't know. I guess you could say because I did like some pack openings and stuff that was like other people, but I did like some videos talking about like what to buy. Please don't go back and watch them. They're all terrible. I was like so nervous and awkward. I'm still not great, but like it was just way worse. It was like so bad that even when I wasn't doing it live and I was editing clips out, where I was like and like restarting my sentences, it was still awkward and uncomfortable. But I think that I probably found more with my voice. And I think that's just true because you feel more comfortable showing who you really are, or you just start caring less or something. And then by the time I was making these spreadsheet videos, it's like so boring to just watch. And like my personality, I think, is like only mildly more interesting than a spreadsheet, but it like needs all the help it can get. So I figured I should just kind of, I don't know, just be myself more. I don't know. What do you think of that?
I think you're doing a great job. I don't know. Oh, me? No, I mean, did I emulate other YouTubers? Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious sometimes. I really like how Rudy Alpha Investments does his content. I'm nowhere near Rudy, but I just like his hot takes on things, how he presents information, how he makes it fun and entertaining, as well as presents really hardcore facts in them. And the reason I created my channel is because I just felt like there was something missing on YouTube. I found myself wanting to kind of find that type of content in Pokemon, and it wasn't really there. It was, more of that longer form content. It just doesn't have that, that kind of fast paced excitement factor or shock factor that you saw in like something like a Rudy's video. And so I just wanted to kind of try to bring something like that of my own form to the Pokemon space, basically. Yeah, I mean, seeing ourselves as YouTubers, I mean, I don't know I don't know about you. I wouldn't really call me a YouTuber. I mean, yeah, we have over 1,000 subscribers now, but it's definitely not our full-time job or anything like that. So YouTuber, I don't know, it's a strange word.
Yeah, I'm making like nothing from YouTube, so right. I'm not a YouTuber. I mean, I'm somebody who makes YouTube videos, so in the like verb sense of the word, I guess you could say I'm a YouTuber. That's how I feel about it. But I really like your videos. I think the one that I really liked was the one where you're talking about whether or not you still enjoy collecting Pokemon cards. It was really more of a narrative video, and you were just like painting a really nice picture of like what it was like to be a kid. And I just really enjoyed that video. I thought it was like really relaxing. And I like seeing videos where people just talk about liking it. You know, I think that's important. To at least bring it up once in a while that this should be fun, you know. And it's not just competing with the, sorry, what?
Do you like edit your videos, or I mean, do you have like edits, or do you try to do it all in one take?
So I mean, I'll do it all in one take, but like sometimes I'll restart a sentence or something, or like these freaking like stands for these cards always fall over. So in my last video, that happened at one point, so I had to edit that out because I was like, nobody wants to see me fix that. So yeah, I don't really edit them too much though. I'm pretty lazy. Maybe like once in a blue moon, I'll like throw up a picture, and then I'll add in like my list of patrons at the end. But that's most of it.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I'm just kind of learning as I go, and I haven't really learned the editing or anything yet. So yeah, there's times where I have to try and shoot a video like 4 or 5 times to get it right, because I refuse to kind of edit it. So I'll kind of get halfway through a video and start to stumble and kind of lose my train of thought. And so I'll have to reshoot the whole thing because, like I said, I'm not there yet. I don't really have the software or really the know-how of how to edit it. So I've just been shooting all my videos in one take, one all the way through. And so, maybe in the future I can get into editing and kind of make it more enjoyable for the viewers, because I know I have had people ask me about, putting graphics in, or, showing pictures, or, screens back and forth and things like that. Yeah, eventually I'm going to get there. I promise. Maybe when we become real YouTubers, we'll get there.
maybe. Yeah. Probably not for a long time. Like, Deep Pocket Monster, is it probably like the most edited Pokemon videos that I've watched, and like they're really good and impressive. But I feel like for how long it would take me to make that, I feel like I'd be able to offer just like so much more content that it would outweigh like the goodness of that one video. I could probably make like 5 videos that, maybe aren't that good, I guess, but they'd be my regular content because I wouldn't have to edit that. So for me, I'd rather just make more content because I really like, I love rambling and, that type of thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I mean, speaking back to your pack openings, like I've been kind of like kicking around those ideas, is like trying to break up the, the investing or, numbers, analytical type of content with, more just like you said, just kind of talking, rambling on about, collecting, or, just about life in general. You do some pack openings, kind of try to break up the channel so it's not the same monotony. But yeah, it's harder than you think, like doing, changing up your, how you did, you changed from pack openings to this, and they're just completely different things, and they look so easy from the outside looking in, but they're just not, right?
They're so uncomfortable, and like depending on like the camera angle, like wherever the camera is, it's like my camera would be like here, and then my arms would be in front of it, and it was just so awkward. Or like you'd have to have it overhead or something, and then you have to have like maybe a light somewhere because the lighting in here is just terrible. And they're just so weird to film. It's like one thing to film yourself like giving like a presentation kind of thing. Not really I wouldn't call my stuff like presentation quality, but like, where you have something that you're planning to talk about versus just trying to be entertaining. Especially, that requires a lot of hand-eye coordination, to be able to talk and open packs. I struggle just opening the packs even when I'm not talking. But yeah, it seems like it's so hard to diversify your videos like in a way that people will still want to watch, where it's like diverse enough that you feel like you're, being satisfied creatively or whatever, but also that people aren't going to be like, this is so random, or it's just like not relevant. And then it's like if you stick too close to one thing for too long, I'm afraid people will just like get really mad if I want to do anything else. So, I did like a few spreadsheet videos in a row, but I just was afraid that people would only watch my channel if I were doing spreadsheets. So I mixed it up. Sometimes I'll stand in front of the whiteboard, or just like in this corner. Times when I really just want to rant about something. That's how this is the ranting corner. But I don't know what you think about that, like trying to diversify your videos.
No, like honestly, everything you just said is like looking into my mind. Like I go through those same exact, the same exact back and forth of, okay, well, do I do another video on the computer talking about product, or do I show, how research is, or do I do a video, in the closet with all the product, just trying to do in a rant or talking about the hobby in general? And it's like you constantly go back between, what people, what you think people want to see or want to hear. And you don't want to become dry where it seems like the same thing every time, because, why are people going to, continue to come back? And then I also I always struggle with, the days, how much I'm posting, it's like you want to post enough to where you're giving people enough content and people, kind of keep coming back, and they know you're still there making content, but you don't want to put out too much to where it just becomes overwhelming, to where it's too much to watch and it's too much of the same thing. So I know I'm right there with you. I'm so happy to hear other people going through those same struggles that I constantly go through. It's refreshing to hear.
Yeah, and it's also just like, it's like hard because sometimes I feel like, man, I should just make a video talking about this thing that everyone else is talking about. Because most of my videos are like, none of them are like, a lot of them aren't like time sensitive videos. They're just like videos that I want to make. But like talking about things that are relevant, or like a reprint, or like, oh my God, is it time to sell, or is it time to buy this product? I'll occasionally make videos talking about like specific products and whatnot, but only when I have like something to actually say that's like got some data for it. But it's just like, man, sometimes I just want to make those videos too.
Go for it. I think your fans will stick behind you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, I like the videos I make, but it's hard when it's like, well, I get more views doing this other thing. Like I used to do those budget Yu-Gi-Oh videos, and I would get pretty good views on those. So I was like nervous about this, because the pack opening videos I would sometimes do wouldn't get very many views. So I was afraid that even fewer people would want to watch this because it's like more boring. But shockingly, people like it, so that's nice.
Derek Rabs, or maybe he was replying to Digi. Hold on, I'm the exact same way. YouTube has all these long 15-second unskippable ads. Yeah, so that's that's not us. Even before I was monetized, I'm sure you're the same way. I started to notice that ads were popping up on my videos when I would get on like my personal account and watch it and try to like go back and watch a video and see how it was. And they just kind of put the ads on your videos. I don't know if you have a choice in the matter or not. I know when you get monetized, you have a choice to put like other type of ads throughout, but yeah, the videos, the ads were kind of showing up right away, and I didn't really have a choice in the matter. I mean, obviously if I wasn't making anything from them, I would have taken them off if I had choice. You may have a little more insight on that.
I'm not even monetized, which is also part of the point of the Patreon. I don't get anything from YouTube. So
is that a choice, or
no? I just haven't hit that 4,000 hour mark yet, because I really started doing Pokemon videos in like the past month, and that's where I've gotten, a lot of my current audience from. I'm almost there, but not quite. So everyone go put my videos on in the background of your tabs. Thank you very much.
You're growing too fast. That's what it comes down
to. Soon, hopefully, maybe we'll see. Oh, they said they're just talking about unskippable ads in general, not news. Yeah, so the videos on mine, I'm not even getting paid for, but YouTube, they want to make money, which is fair. It's fine.
I noticed that Twice Baked Jake puts a random fade out in the middle of the video, and usually where the ads come in, and thought it was smart.
I think you can choose a mid-roll or something, probably. I don't know exactly how it works, but I know you can choose which ads to enable, so you can probably choose when they are. Just seems like I've seen a lot of times where it's like the clickbaity moment, it's like, oh my God, what's in here, or something like that. And then the ad happens. And then after you get to be underwhelmed.
Oh yeah.
It actually is.
Yeah, look, I'll look into that. I don't do any of that fancy stuff. If you're seeing ads, it's where YouTube decides to put them. I mean, I guess Ava's not monetized yet, so she can't really tell you, but I'll be honest, you sound like YouTube pays you a great deal amount on ad revenue. So if ads were upsetting my viewers, I definitely wouldn't be choosing to put ads all over the videos. But I mean, as far as I know, you just kind of there's not like a ton. I mean, I guess there is a good amount you can, shift them around. Maybe I just haven't played with it enough. Like I said, I'm super new to this. I'm like 3 months in. I just bought a microphone. I just bought a nicer webcam. I'm trying to upgrade my life and get some upgrades. And I'm trying to learn YouTube, learn live streaming as I go. So things will get better as they go. I'll try to do the best I can for everyone out there.
Yeah, I mean, how much you guys shouldn't expect too much from like people our size. I'm recording with my phone and like a lapel mic from Amazon. Anytime I'm standing up at the desk, I have like a Blue Yeti mic, but like it's mostly just my phone and a $10 lapel mic. And I felt fancy when I got the lapel mic because it really helped the audio.
I love Derek Rabb.
He really doesn't like Pokenomics.
I know. Well, I think what he wants is for me to speak on it because obviously I'm brought up in Pokenomics a lot. Look, here's the deal. Jake brought me on his channel when I had, I don't even remember, 500, 600 subscribers. And he's obviously, 7,000 plus. So I'm super grateful for Jake to give me a platform when I was such a small channel. And I'm still a small channel, but I've grown a lot since then. And also Jake, even though he disagreed with, things I said, he really didn't, attack me or put me on the spot too hard. He just expressed his opinions compared to mine. So, I can't really say too many bad things about Jake or Pokenomics. I mean, yeah, he's got a Patreon. I really like Dan, Catch 'em All Collectibles. We talk, not a ton, but we've definitely messaged back and forth multiple times on Instagram. I think he's a great guy. I think he's, his channel's great. He's got a lot of great knowledge. I know he's part of it with Jake. I think Jake, really has the best interest of, just people as a whole, in mind. And, yeah, I mean, just because we have, disagreements on a lot of Pokemon subjects, just because I don't agree with a lot of the things he puts out or his beliefs or what he pushes, it doesn't mean that I don't like the guy. We just have disagreements. So you're not really getting me to say too many bad things about Pokenomics. I'm sorry. It's just one of those things. We have different views on things. He's a lot larger than me, and he allowed me to come on and give me a platform. He's called me out in a couple chats, which I appreciate too. So yeah, all in all, I don't have a problem with him. So sorry, Derek. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. I'm trying to. I know you want to make some heat in this. Maybe Ava can tell me, some more videos she didn't like about mine, and we can.
I have no opinion on this issue. He seems like a nice guy. I've never really talked to him. He commented nice video on one of my videos, which I appreciated. So it was like one of my first ones about spreadsheets. So I thought that was cool. Seems like a nice guy though. So I don't have anything negative to say. So
exactly, yeah. Pokey Grindin', thank you for the super chat. And now I know that I get those. Thanks for all the great vids from both of you lately. Well, I guess that's for you too. So
all right, you can Venmo me $250 after this.
All right, we'll do.
I'm kidding.
That won't go too far in Chicago though, will it?
No, I could probably get like a Hershey's bar or something for that much. I hate taxes here. I'm from Wisconsin originally, and it's not like the taxes are like particularly low, but like sales tax over 10%. That's crazy.
Yeah. So you grew up in the Midwest too, because I live in Missouri. So
yeah, when I was like CST and you're like, yes, I was like, okay.
Yeah. It's so true. I felt that same exact way. Because everyone, else is either Eastern or Pacific time, it seems like.
Yeah, because at my job, a lot of the people that I work with aren't based in on the East Coast. So like every time they tell me a time, I'm like CST or EST because there's no consistent, we haven't ever decided on which time zone we're going to use consistently. So, it can be an issue sometimes.
Well, Ava, what do you want to do? How much longer you want to stay on? I know you said we've been going for about 2.5 hours now.
Yeah, that's surprising. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. It's much easier.
Take a couple more questions?
Sure, yeah. If you guys have any more last questions, that'd be great. It does not feel nearly as long when you're talking to someone as when you're talking to yourself on a stream, by the way.
Oh my gosh, no, not at all.
And your voice doesn't go as quickly. I know my voice always sounds like it's hoarse, but it gets bad. If I stream by myself for too long, it gets really bad.
I think it's in your head.
True. I mean, everyone thinks their own voice sounds weird. I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
I think in the grand scheme of things, my voice is probably pretty normal. Oh my God. Sales tax in Malta is 18%. What's the income tax there? Is it lower? Yeah, it does suck in Illinois. And also it's like the state's like broke. So why? It's strange to me that the state is broke, yet the taxes are so high.
Weird how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't. Taxes, I'm just not a fan, you know. But you should pay your taxes. I'm not saying
we can get into that whole discussion on our next live stream, right?
Yeah, just gonna have no Pokemon, just taxes. Yeah, show you guys my tax return that I didn't file yet because I got an extension. What is your hidden gem Pokemon TCG collectible you think is severely underrated? That's a good question. What is your answer?
Put me on the spot, huh? What is the question? So like mine, or what do I think's out there? What is your gem?
Yeah, I think yours. Like what you think. Maybe it's, I don't know, if it's something you just think is generally underrated or something that you like and you think that is underappreciated by the market.
Such a hard question.
Yeah.
A hidden gem Pokemon item. Do you have anything in mind?
Gosh, it's hard for me to say off the top of my head. Some things that I think are pretty cool are there are like some Japanese binders from the Neo collection. I think I actually have one over here. Sorry. Like these types of things I think are really cool and you can still get them really cheaply. I'm not sure how much they'll appreciate in the long run, but you can get these cards in them that are normally just in the English main set. So it's really cool. And also if you ever see anyone selling these for a really high price, like these hollows right here, don't buy it because you can get this whole binder probably for less than $100. So you should be able to get those singles really cheaply. I think those are really cool. I don't think that's my final answer, but that's an honorable mention from me.
Yeah, I thought of something that I have that I think is pretty cool. So does anyone know those base set booster packs, the black triangle versions? I really like those. I like that kind of, misprint, those error things that happened that Pokemon was just putting out because, things were so hectic back in the day. And so what they are, if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, you can search them on eBay, just search in, base set black triangle booster pack. And basically what they were is they're the base set booster packs with a black triangle put it over the first edition stamp because the cards inside were actually unlimited, but they printed them in first edition packs for some reason. So they put a black triangle over it. So I have the 3 art set of those, which I think is pretty cool. And then also the demo pack. So the demo pack from back in the day that they sent out to all the stores, there's nothing valuable inside, which is kind of that conversation about we had last night about why a sealed product is valuable, even though the value inside isn't there. Yeah, the demo pack is just basically filled with a bunch of common and uncommon base set cards that were basically sent to stores so people could figure out how to play the game before Pokemon was released. So I really like that item as well. I don't know if either of those are like hidden gems. I think most know about them, but yeah, there's just pretty cool things that I like that I have that I'm not really too worried about the values. I know they have went ridiculous in value ever since the boom, but yeah, I was buying those back in the day just because I thought they were just cool items.
Yeah, I think a few more that I've thought of off the top of my head. Just talking about things that are cool items that aren't as commonly talked about. The VS series. So this is a Japanese exclusive set. It was like a test run kind of, I believe, for the format of the e-reader cards, like the aesthetics. I don't think they actually have the little code that you could scan at the bottom. It's just like a demo for the new layout of the cards. Those are really cool. There's an Entei in there that looks very cool. Also a Raikou, and I think a Suicune. So I really like those. I think they're very cool. That's just something that's not, I think it's talked about more now than it used to be, but that's pretty cool. I think, what else? I think Fusion Strike is underrated right now. That's not a hidden gem. I mean, it's out there for the public, but I think it's still underappreciated by the market right now. What else? Man, maybe legend cards. I think legend cards are really cool.
I really do like legend cards. That's true.
Amazing. I think the Suicune and Raikou one and the Darkrai and Cresselia one are some of the best looking card arts ever. It's the same artist who made them, and they're just freaking gorgeous. They're all made by different artists, but those two in particular are amazing. So if you haven't seen those, I would recommend checking them out and maybe buying them if you want. I don't know if they're the best investment, but I think that they don't get enough love because they're awesome.
That has nothing to do with that's the time you got in the hobby, right?
Well, I don't think those were, was that after level X's or before? I think it was after level X's. So it's like not when I got right into it. I just think it's so cool that it's like, I think the 2-card thing is cool, but it's really about just the art. It's like the OG full art.
Yeah, and they're trying to do that now again with the Pikachu collection boxes and things, but that's not the same, right?
Yeah, the art isn't as good. It's like the same art they would put on a V or an EX, and like I don't think the non-full art EXs and Vs look very good. I think one of the only decent looking ones is maybe the Sylveon from Generations Radiant Collection, which we talked about earlier. They just don't look that good usually. I think maybe there's a decent Pikachu somewhere out there, but those full art cards I think are glorious. But I don't like the new CGR as much. All the hand-drawn things, like they age way better.
Hey, did you see I owe you $4.99 now? Because Pokemon said I used to live in Decatur. Now I live in Warrington. This 5 is for Eva.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Now we're getting up there. Now you might be able to afford a candy bar and a coffee.
Yeah, that'd be so great. Not if I go to Starbucks. Well, I don't. Depends what you get. I don't like coffee, so I'd probably just get like a plain tea, and then we're good. Then we're in business. I could get like a tea and like I don't know, a cake pop or something. That's what they sell.
Pokey Grind, you just bought Ava a cake pop and a tea, and she's very appreciative. I can tell.
I am. I do like tea a lot, and I do like cake a lot. So I'm very, very grateful for that. That's a good use of $5.
Alex, Eva, what is your favorite? Or sorry, what's your
favorite
most valuable collectible? First of all.
Oh, I thought you were reading the favorite Game of Thrones character.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. So let's take both of those.
Okay. Most valuable collectible, one-off thing, probably PSA 9. Crystal Lugia back here from Aquapolis. One of my all-time chase cards. Very cool to have that. Very happy. What about you?
I don't have anything valuable left. I think the 2 most valuable things I had during the when I sold into the boom were probably PSA 9 first edition Charizard and a Neo Destiny first edition booster box, things like that. But like I said, I sold off like literally everything I had except some, just some things I wanted to keep for my collection. So I don't really have any item right now that's valued over, 5 figures, not even really high 4 figures. So yeah, I don't really have a lot of high value items left. Like I kind of gave that in one of my videos that I really divested from everything I had during the Logan Paul boom because of it. The amount of money just became.
That's a good choice. I don't think that's the wrong choice. You can probably buy pretty much everything you sold at like a lower price or at worst, probably the same price.
So but it's still hard, right? Because like, yeah, I could probably buy every single thing I had back way cheaper, but it's just so hard to spend that amount of money still, even at this point, even at what they're at. I don't know, maybe it's just kind of like a brain trick or something, but
yeah,
I don't know.
So favorite Game of Thrones character?
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Me neither.
Dang it.
So, but I mean, I know of it. I tried reading the book, and I think I was in like 8th or 9th grade. Let me tell you, that's not a book that 8th graders should be reading. Okay, I didn't stick with it.
Well, maybe nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it's really out there. But my favorite character from the short amount I've read would probably just be one of the dire wolves, or probably Daenerys because I'm basic like that. So yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
She's the one who's the mother of dragons. I know that. I've never seen the show. Maybe
I'll take the blonde girl because I think she's hot.
That's her.
Oh, that's her?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry guys. That's one show I just did not get into.
Derek, that leaves less time for 30 Rock, which is a great show. He asked me about my favorite sitcom once, and I told him it was 30 Rock, which is a great show.
I'd have to go with like I think Friends or The Office. Pretty basic, right? We're too basic.
I mean, 30 Rock is a pretty basic choice. Also, Seinfeld is really good, and that's
of course. I mean,
the definition of basic.
Seinfeld. I think everyone watches that, no matter where, what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see if anyone else has any like Pokemon related questions. Let's see. They asked if we play Legends Arceus. No, because as I said, I've never played the games aside from that one time. But I've watched people play it and like some streamers and stuff. It looks so cool. It actually makes me want to play it because it just seems so different than the regular games.
Yeah, so I don't have a Switch, but a friend of mine brought one over one day when we both weren't working, and I played it for like a full day with him, and it was fun. You know, I liked it. I thought it was a really good game, but no, I haven't like actually dove in and played it. I haven't played a Pokemon game since I guess like Ruby Sapphire days, all the way back then. That's kind of the last Pokemon games I really remember playing. So I guess that Gen 3. Oh, that's a good question. So what's your favorite generation in Pokemon?
Second generation.
Okay. I figured you were gonna say that. Just from your collection, I can tell.
Yeah, I like Black and White too, actually, a lot. I think it's a great era. And I'm just like, I think the Black and White era of cards was awesome because they did the full arts first, and I just thought it was cool. It felt like Pokemon was really trying, at least to an extent, back then with the products. But yeah, second generation, there's just so many awesome Pokemon in that gen. Typhlosion is probably my favorite starter, just because I think Cyndaquil is really cute. I do also like Mudkip. That's probably my second favorite starter. And some of the new ones are cool, like Score Bunny or whatever. But in terms of like classic things, I think that second gen is pretty good. What about you?
No love for Totodile?
Yeah, he's okay. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely between first and second gen. They're both great. I mean, I think it's just so nostalgic first gen. I mean, just my memories of waking up, every morning before school and watching Pokemon, and just having that ripping that first pack ever, and just like I said, it's kind of that basic thing that most people are. They grew up with the base jungle and fossil like I did, and so it's always going to hold that special place in my heart. Not that I think they're the greatest thing to buy right now or invest in or collect. I'm just saying they hold the most nostalgia for me, I guess. But I definitely do like second gen a lot too. That it's just, especially the sets in second gen, I think we're just done so much better than.
There's so many. The Neo era is just like so great, and also Heart Gold, Soul Silver was also, I think, really great. So it's like both are bangers. Someone asked a really good question. Did you ask what is one moment that you regret in the hobby? And he says his was being in Japan and leaving tables of Mario Pikachu boxes on the table, only buying 4. Bro, you made up good there. You did well. Oh gosh, what would be mine? I don't know. Do you have any in mind?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess, not regret, but it's just because at the time it wasn't a thing. Like when I first got back in the hobby, and started buying things, a first edition base set booster box sat on the market at $10,000. Buy it now or best offer for months before it finally was gone. So it's like I would have never dropped that kind of money back then because we don't know what we know now. But it's like I look back at things like that and it's like, wow, it's the biggest miss I've had. It's just the biggest regrets are more the things I didn't buy because I felt they were too expensive, or I didn't want to, put that much capital into them, things like that. I don't really have any regrets of anything I did buy. I got in, in that nice cushy time, 2015, 2016, when, things basically rose and rose and rose. And then I stayed in through the boom. So I didn't have the problem of ever losing on any Pokemon investments. I know that sounds crazy. And it's not, past results don't dictate future results. Okay. So if you're getting it now, don't think you can ever lose. But it's just back then, there wasn't a lot to regret, right? The biggest things you regret was just not buying the things that you could have, right?
Yeah, for sure. My first ever trading card investment, like I said, was in Yu-Gi-Oh! It was probably 2015, maybe 2016. I bought 3 boxes of Legendary Collection Yugi's World, for anyone who knows. It's a great set. I bought it because I loved it. Bought 3 sets of those on clearance for $20 each. I remember buying them, and his dad was like, don't you think that's a bit of a waste of money? And this was my first time ever buying anything with the intent to keep it sealed. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I think it'll be fine. And then I just put them in my closet. And then like 2020, they went up to like $80. And I thought that was a good price. So I sold one. And now they're like a few $100s. And I'm just like, man, I wish I hadn't sold that. Sometimes it's just like, I wish I hadn't sold that. Fortunately, like I haven't sold that much. I usually will only sell like singles because there's just like less upward momentum for singles. So I feel like I'm not going to regret it as much. So, yeah.
I mean, it's almost like all the good that Logan Paul did for the hobby and all the good it did for everyone in that time's bank accounts is great. But sometimes I want to go back and I almost wish it didn't happen. I mean, even all the, the gains I made and the profits I was able to take, I still just, I would almost like to have all that collection back and still have that normalized growth that we used to see that, maybe 10, 20% a year on some of those products. Like, because I was buying a lot of those things for that, everyone kind of talks about that 10, 15, 20 year time frame down the road. And I was going to have them for a long time. And everything just got so sped up and you just had to kind of make quick decisions. And I decided to get out because I knew a crash was coming. But yeah, so I wouldn't say I regret it because, selling them at those prices did a lot of good for, my life in general. But yeah, I know. I just kind of regret that time ever even happened, I guess. I wish I still had my whole collection and it was still consistently growing and I was able to enjoy it each day, I guess.
Yeah, no. I think it's just, yeah, I kind of agree. I'll say the one thing I'm happy about is I think that the quality of sets we're getting is definitely higher than we would have been getting if it weren't for this. Like you can just see the immediate jump in quality after Vivid Voltage in like what they're putting out. And Vivid Voltage is a great set too. I mean, it's got amazing rares. It's a cool set, but those alternate arts are awesome. And I think those are going to be things that people are going to want for years and years to come because they're so unique in the context of like main set Pokemon cards. There aren't a lot of cards like those out there. So I think those are awesome.
Derek Rabb, I sold all my Pokemon cards because I had to start liking girls.
That's a mistake. I'm sorry.
He was liking the wrong girls, right, Ava?
Yeah, for sure. You should find girls who just want to, collect Pokemon cards or something or watch anime who are cheap. So as a joke, this is not financial advice or dating advice.
Thanks. Keep peppering that in. I forget to from time to time.
Yeah, I feel like I got to throw it in every 30 minutes in case someone doesn't watch the whole stream.
Smart. You're covering all your bases. I need to do that more.
Sometimes I forget to say it and oops, but I put in the description. So
see, I'm learning so much today. I'm learning how to be a real YouTuber.
Well, most of my videos also are just me saying, I don't think you should buy this. Or like, people aren't talking about how risky this is. Or I'll be like, wow, look at how much this set went up. I usually don't make a lot of product recommendations. The only one I've really harped on is maybe like Pokemon Center ETBs and Fusion Strike. But don't.
What about those UPCs behind you?
Oh yeah, I do. I have one. I got it for $180. So it's a pretty decent price. I couldn't find anywhere I live, so I had to have one for my collection. But
no, I think that's pretty much the lowest they got other than retail. I mean, that's when I started to buy them. Is in the
it was only because I knew the seller through eBay or through Instagram. So I don't think I would have gotten that deal otherwise because he's like, well, I already sold out, but I have a few extras, and I was like, yes. I don't know if he says that to everyone. I like to think it was just for me, but who knows?
Okay. Well, hey guys, what do you think, Ava? Are you about done?
Yeah, man.
We put in the hours. We put in the work today.
Yeah, I don't know how people will do like these 4 or 5 hour streams. It's actually bonkers to me. I was talking about this before we started recording, but like, what if you have to go to the bathroom or something? Just what do you do? I don't know. I'm worried for people who don't like, if they never like get up and leave and come back, I'm concerned for them.
You're definitely thinking outside the box on those.
Yeah, clearly I have a lot of those types of out of the box thoughts. I think out of the box is a nice way to put it.
Hey, I don't want to like you said before. I don't want to like turn live streams into a circle jerk or anything.
No.
But if you ever want to do another one, I'd love to have you on again, and I'd love to do more in the future with you.
Yeah, I mean, as long as like I'm sure there's more things we can talk about. I've got a lot saved up that I've been thinking about for a long time, and just a lot of salt building up. So maybe.
Should I be worried?
No. It's just general salt, But thank you so much for having me on. This was actually really, really fun. Thank you to everyone watching. You know, the chat is what makes these like really, really fun, I think. And
Yes.
it's just really great having you guys interacting and getting to talk to, you know, subscribers more on like a live basis, like, you know, rather than like a lag.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll, like I said, I'll put all your links in the description. So anyone looking to find Ava's channel, her Instagram, her Patreon, I'll send it out. Do you want to shout out anything you have coming up or anything about your channel before we get off?
Well, first of all, don't do what Derek said. Don't rename this stream like he suggested. Because I just don't want anyone clicking on it looking for what I said. But I've got a new video coming out tomorrow. I want to start a community portfolio series. And I'm going to do that once I hit 25 patrons. And I want it to actually be a community portfolio. So if we ever have any profits somehow, if we ever, you know, see any gains, I'll probably just donate whatever we make to charity. So it's an actual community portfolio. So
Wow.
the Patreon is to help fund that. So
how do you plan on doing that? Like, is everyone gonna, like, I guess, come into agreement of what you buy, or how are you doing that?
So, I mean, Twice Big Jake did something like this, but what I would probably do is post on Patreon asking people for options, and then I'd probably post a poll on YouTube and go by like what the most popular thing is. We could probably get like a variety of maybe sealed and singles, and then maybe like every month or probably more like quarterly. You know, I can tally up what everything's worth, and if we've gained anything, I can donate it to a charity of, you know, our community's choosing. So I think that'd be a really nice, positive thing to do.
No, that sounds really cool. That's different. See, like, that's thinking outside the box, right?
Yeah. Hope nobody sees this, because what if I never hit 25 patrons and then someone else sees my idea?
Nah, you're gonna get there. You'll probably get there after this stream.
I doubt it. But, you know, I mean, it's not like it's that good of an idea, so I'm not too concerned. But you heard it here first.
All right. Well, hey, everyone in the chat, thanks so much for showing up, all the comments. Ava, thank you for being on. And I'm sure you'll see us on new videos here soon.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
See ya.
Next one.
Let's see. Still don't know how to stop these things.
All
right, I got it. All right.